a second there. If you guys would go around one by one and introduce yourselves, name, age, and what you do, starting with Justin.
I'm Justin. I'm a pediatric emergency room nurse. I'm 28. What else do you want to know, Jeff?
Perfect.
That's
awesome.
perfect. That's all we need for the first part.
I'm Pandy. I'm an author and I'm a streamer, and I am 26 years old.
I'm Mahaley. I'm 27 years old, and I model and I work at a dispensary, do art.
Very cool.
Excellent.
And I'm Sydney. I'm a student, and I am 28 years old. I had to think about it for a second.
Lovely. So we're now going to go back around the table and we're going to ask your relationship status. But additionally, like, what's your current relationship status? How long have you been in that particular case, whatever it happens to be? So we'll start with you, Justin.
But we're starting with Sydney this time.
Oh, you want to start with Sydney? Fine, we'll start with Sydney. All right,
Just start
Sydney,
with me.
take us out.
I'm single, and I've been single since like mid-June.
Mid-June?
Yep.
How long was your longest relationship?
Just under 3 years.
Okay. And how long ago was that?
2019.
Okay. So like relatively recent.
Yeah, ish.
Got it.
Let's see. I'm single.
Single currently?
Yes, single. I think I've been single for about a couple of months.
Couple of months?
Yeah. You know, I'm so interested to see how this goes because my longest relationship has been like 6 months.
6 months?
Yes, like both of them.
Oh, yeah.
You know, situationships
Mhm.
a little longer, like a year, I guess, or so, 9 months. So
Fair, yes.
you know.
For the
know.
situationships,
Yes.
is there a reason why they didn't turn into like full-blown relationships?
I'd be asking myself the same question.
Did you want them to?
Certain ones, yeah.
But that was not reciprocated.
Yeah. No, not at the moment. No.
Not at the moment. Oh, so there's still one going on, kind of?
No.
Not
No.
currently.
Mm-mm.
So single in like the truest sense of the word.
Single,
no
Mahaley
situationships.
Green, yes, just
Single
her.
mingle.
People try to take me out, and I kind of have been going out more because you know I've never really dated like that.
Oh, cool.
And
Well,
yeah, it's
how old are you again?
27.
27. Okay.
Mhm.
Did you date like a ton, like in like the 18 to 23 range, or not
Oh,
really?
So let's see, the first person I was with was when I was 19, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, high school, never really talked to anybody or dated. My parents were like, you can't date till you're 16. And I was like, I guess I can go longer. So you're welcome.
Bet.
Yeah.
My parents had the same thing with like the 16 was like the magic number
Right,
for some
yeah,
reason.
yeah.
I don't know
Same
why.
here.
Yeah, weird, right?
Oh, by the way, quick thing for the chat. Chat, are we coming in loud and clear today? Does everybody's mic sound good? Let us know in chat, please, and we'll go down the line.
Well, wait, the question is
So
just,
current relationship status? No, it's okay. I get confused all the time. So current relationship status, and then how long you've been in that particular state.
Oh, so I am single right now, but I went through divorce in June.
In
So-
June,
oh,
so pretty
yeah.
fresh.
Mm-hmm. So I was with that person for 7 years.
That's a long time,
Before then, yeah.
man. So that way, you were how old again?
26.
26.
I
So
just turned 26.
when did you meet
Happy
that person?
birthday.
Oh yeah, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
So when did you? So you were married for 7 years, you said.
Mm-hmm.
So was that, and then like, well, I'm assuming you guys knew each other before that too.
Well, we were married for 5 years, but we were together.
Oh,
for
got it.
7.
Oh, yeah.
Got
Okay,
it.
Cool.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be back out in the single world after being married for so long?
I feel like I don't know how to do it.
That's
You're not the
valid.
only one.
I was married for 7 years and like got back into dating in the last year and a half too. And it's like
There we go.
it's weird getting back into it, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, like we've been separated since December. So yeah, it's almost been a year since like I've been around him. So
Yeah.
it has just been like, oh wow, I'm allowed to go outside. This is crazy.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's actually been like a really awesome experience, but it's also really, really weird because I'm
Mhm.
like, it's almost like I don't know how to feel human because he was my
Sure.
first boyfriend.
Wow.
And so he
Like
was
first ever?
yeah.
Wow.
Because I also was like, I'm not allowed to date until I'm 16, bro.
Yeah.
And then by 19, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. So, yeah. So it's definitely very different, but
Yeah. There's
it's
like
great.
So are you on like any apps right now?
Never.
So not even like after the separation, after the divorce, you're not jumping on apps to find people?
Never.
Is there a reason for that?
I don't believe in them. I
Oh,
don't think
interesting.
they work.
oh, interesting. Okay, cool.
Can you speak more to that?
Yeah.
Like why don't you like the apps?
I don't. I just like the concept behind it. When I was in high school, me and my friends made profiles for fun because we were like, oh, like, whoa, like 16. It's probably illegal, right? I don't know.
I would imagine,
so.
yeah.
We're not advocating for using apps in a bad way.
Use them. But I don't know. Even my friends who use them now, just like seeing the quality of dates that they get and how terribly they all go, like they never work. They never work. I have one friend who's gotten married off of a dating app.
Okay, yeah.
And I went to her Catholic wedding and it was very beautiful. But I was like,
Are they still together?
yeah.
So it could
they're having
kind
a
of-
child right now. So I'm like, I guess it works in some cases, but she used like Christian dating app. I don't know if that's different.
Oh.
Okay,
but
fair.
Christian mingle.
Different
Something
context.
like
of
Only
that.
Christians.
Yeah.
That sounds
Yeah.
weird. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not really that much different.
Only Christian.
Well, I was gonna say like only farmers, but isn't that like a one too?
Wait.
Yeah.
right.
that is-
farmer.
Yeah,
farmers
there's like a
only.
thing. Oh, so farmers only.
Oh.
So no plan to start using apps anytime soon.
Yeah, I just feel like the quality of person who's not in a bad way, but just like the person on the other side is also just like scrolling through people after
Sure.
people, just like
Yeah.
hitting like or not like the concept behind that is insane to me because it's very shallow. So I'm like, what kind of person are you fishing for who's just like go outside, there's so many people, like go on a walk and run into someone by accident if you think they're cute, like I don't know,
Like you
That's
like
just
the,
me.
like the in-person
Well, I get that.
thing.
I get that
Yeah.
mentality.
Fair.
I know there's a couple apps like Coffee Meets Bagel that are much more like selective in terms. That might not even be a current one. It was one for a while where you get like one match a
never heard of
day,
that
but it
one.
was like highly curated. Like you get one match that like the app really tried to figure out if you were like as compatible as you can with only online stuff.
wow.
But there's a couple. I mean, is it Bumble the one where the girls have to
Yeah.
reach out?
Bumble,
I
girls
hate
have to
it.
talk first.
I hate
Okay.
it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I definitely
so-
am not going to talk first. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you try it too and you
Yeah.
like it wasn't for
Yeah,
you?
no.
Same.
Not for me.
Yeah, I realized that. Yeah, usually we like expect the guy to make the first. Like
Yeah,
inherently,
society
I was
and
like,
stuff.
oh, that's
I
what's
don't-
always been. I'm like,
I
oh no,
feel
I
bad,
have
but
to
I'm
like.
oh, yeah.
What do I say? What do I come up
No,
with?
I respect that. I really do. I really do. Justin, what about you, man?
So I'm actually getting married on Saturday.
Congratulations. We might have already known that, but I wanted to let you talk about it.
We've been together. Next week will be 12 years.
That's amazing.
So
I didn't know
been together
that.
since my senior year of high school.
I love it.
So I applaud
is
you
real.
guys because I can only imagine what dating's like in today's day and age.
Does it seem daunting looking at
Oh,
it from like a
God.
successful
So-
relationship right now?
Kylie and I talk about it all the time where she's like, could you imagine like if, and not to be like morbid, but she's like, you know, if one of us died and we had to go out and date again after, because like it's one thing to be in a relationship, right? But like you were married, you understand this. Like coming out of such a serious relationship and then going into this dating world where everything is app based now. Like nobody goes to a coffee shop and meets anymore.
I want to.
Yes.
I
do.
please actually.
But you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like everybody's so technology based now that it changes the whole layout of when you first dated 7 years ago, right?
Yes. That's exactly how it feels.
Yeah.
It's like you can't regress after such a, because I used to say the same thing too when I was married to all my single friends.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine dating right now. I'm so glad I don't have to.
Yeah. Like, dun, dun, dun. Like,
No.
I
Yeah.
understand that. How,
So you s-
how
oh, go
did you
ahead.
meet your wife? Was it like, did you guys meet in
So
high
you want to
school?
know the true story?
Yeah.
right.
Yes, Justin.
All right.
I want to know the
The
true
truth. All right.
story.
Do you want my version or do you want
Yes.
the truth version?
Both?
Both?
All
Yeah.
right. So my version is that Kylie was in hot pursuit of me.
Oh,
yeah,
I get it. I see now.
The truth version is my mom was actually her teacher. And my mom was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
hey, my son's coming to drop off my little brother. So my other son. And she was like, I think you guys would actually get along really well. So my mom was like my wingman.
That's
See?
amazing.
That's actually like super legit.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's the
really
real story.
cute.
Yeah.
Like-
So then, I don't know. I want to say that was like the tail end of October in 2012.
Yeah.
And then we went on a date a week later. And then,
Did you ask her out or did she
Hmm?
ask you out?
no,
Yeah,
I asked her, I was
okay.
like, you want to go bowling? And
Yeah.
then we went
Bowling.
bowling and I don't know.
Ever
Here we are.
since.
Here we are 12 years later.
That's
I love it.
yeah. Yes, there is.
So we have another question for the entire table to get things just kind of fun in the first part of it. What's the weirdest date you've ever been on? And we'll start on this side of the
Can we
table.
start down there? I gotta.
Oh yeah, fine. I mean, I'm happy to start too.
Yeah, I
if
think
we-
you should
if we-
start this one
yeah.
off. Aaron.
Yeah, because you know the one I'm going to talk
Yeah, I
about.
do.
So when I was before I met my wife, we ended up having like I think Tinder was like the only substantial like app out there, and I did meet some very weird people on Tinder that obviously didn't work out at all. I met my wife Megan, who you guys can't see over the camera right now, off screen. We met doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu, which was awesome. We both still do it today. But before that, I tried Tinder because why not? It was kind of all the rage like then. But I met this girl for a date, and like I'm about meeting people like right away, or at least I was. Like I didn't want to like try to like text for like 9 days beforehand. Like if I think you're interesting enough based on your profile, let's go meet out and see if we have any connection. I met this girl. We met at some like local diner in her like small Iowa town. And I just, like right when I got there, it felt like things were just a little bit off. And by the end of like, so like we were going to get some food there and like, like what do like small town diners have? It's like hot dogs or hamburgers. And like, she didn't want to eat anything, which was fine. Not a big deal. But then I asked her like, what are you looking to do with your life? Like, what do you want to do? Because I think she was just about to get out of college. I was in college too. And she told me, I had to like stop myself from like just laughing. She just, I want to walk the earth. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, like travel?
She mean like Forrest Gump style?
Okay, like that's, I was like, okay, like, do you mean like travel? She's like, no, I just want to start walking in one direction. And I'm thinking like, are you talking about like Pulp Fiction? Like where like Samuel L. Jackson is just saying, I want to walk the earth. I'm like, are you getting this from the movie? It was like the weirdest thing ever. And then I'm like, well, how are you going to like survive? And she's like, I'll just live off the land. I'm like, you mean like steal? Like, do you mean like you're going to steal from other people?
Steal crops?
And then my favorite part is like, the end of our date, we went on a walk. It was just like, it's like the weirdest thing. I'm sure she'll make some very happy. I'm doing the thing. Yeah. I'm sure she'll make someone out there very happy who loves to walk. But other than that, not for me at the time. So yeah, if anybody has one, feel free to jump in. We don't have to go down the line at all. Weirdest date you've ever been on?
Or funny or strange.
Or funny, whatever.
Yeah.
Weird. Can be any of those.
I think one I went on in the last year that I was like an immediate like, oh, this isn't going to work, is within the first like 2 or 3 minutes of conversation. He's like, I'm just such a nice guy. I don't know why girls don't like me. And I'm like,
The nice guy syndrome.
Yeah, exactly. And it didn't go well after that.
No.
Was that when you knew?
But Joe,
Yeah,
but Joe, he's
100%.
a nice guy.
But
Wait,
he said he's a nice guy.
Did you
didn't
say
give
he
him a
was
chance?
complaining about women not liking him and
Yes.
they should?
Yes.
Because he's a nice guy?
Within like minutes of meeting him, how women don't like him and how they should because he's such a nice guy. And they just, I was like, this feels like a red flag. And indeed it was.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this in the podcast. I used to have nice guy syndrome back
Yeah.
when I was like 18.
Yeah.
Where I was like,
Not like 32.
Man, women would be so lucky. I'm such a nice guy. Like, holy cow. Fun. Who else has got one? I know somebody's got to have one weird date out there. Although we had a lot of like long-term first, maybe we don't.
And I really haven't really gone on dates like that.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Okay, cool. I mean, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I do, but I just blacked it out.
Yeah.
It's not a good time.
Repressed memory.
Yeah, just shove
done.
that in the bottle.
Put that in a little box,
That's fair enough. I guess I didn't realize our panel was like, it's all like super long-term or not a ton of dating. That's very interesting though.
Yeah.
All right, Joe, you're up next, I think.
Okay, yeah.
I know you got a
that's-
few on the docket for today.
Well, okay. So, Pandy, you said something I thought was interesting. Do you think, because you're re-entering, I guess, are you re-entering the dating world? Do you want to date or are you like good? Yeah, absolutely.
So what's up? Something
I
wrong?
will.
Is it working?
Is it in the chat? It's like glitching?
It
Oh,
crashed.
goodness.
Oh no.
How's the
That would
chat?
be-
Hey, chat, tell us, is it everything look okay right now? Or
That would be unfortunate. I
Let's
wonder if the
redo it.
internet went out.
oh no,
Weird. Okay.
we lost something?
Thanks for your patience, guys. It
course.
should still be recording regardless, but okay, like we're back up.
I'm gonna get on my phone and see if
Let me pull it back up and see if anyone's here. We're having technical issues. so we
Sorry.
appreciate your patience.
Colorado internet, it's the worst.
You live in the middle of nowhere, Colorado, though.
That's true.
Yeah, that is true. Where's the? Okay, here we go.
All right,
Let's see.
Let's see. Sorry for the technical difficulties, everybody.
We appreciate you.
Oh,
Oh yeah, we're
did.
good to go. We're back up. Yeah.
Yay.
We will be working on the technical
We seem to
issues,
be back.
guys.
Hey, so sorry about that, Chad. Something
Yeah.
crazy happened.
I think we're good to go now. Okay.
Thank
So,
you.
Pandy, you said you're recently sort of, are you back in the dating scene or are you like good right now?
Yes.
Okay,
I
yeah.
am back in.
Like open if something came along kind of thing?
hmm I had like probably a situationship for like probably.
Yeah.
It was.
Ish.
if you
Um,
question it, it probably is, right? I don't even know.
I think that's
It
true.
was like 4 months at the beginning of this year.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was that. And then there were like, yeah, little bits over the summer. Nothing crazy, just like one-time dates or something.
Yeah.
But I like to go out a lot. So I just meet people and they're, oh, can you get, I normally say no when people ask for my number. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm really just chilling. You don't want to mess with me.
I'm good right now.
Yeah, but like I'm open if there's someone obviously after marriage your bars should be higher than it is before. So
Yes. Yeah.
You would
I'm
hope, right?
probably yeah. I'm just probably not I'm very picky and I was
Yeah.
before. So
oh yeah.
I am, but it would have to be someone very cool and not just nice.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Fair. Okay.
So
That's awesome.
with the situationships, did you want any of those to be like actual relationships or no?
I think I went into them fully aware that they probably weren't going to be like super serious, which was fine with me at the time because I was dealing with all my
Sure.
stuff. But it was very, very helpful in me like figuring out certain things and just like mentally restabilizing after like the crash of everything.
Oh yeah.
So I think that in itself, I'm like, it felt correct, but it never felt like something that was going to be long term. It was just like they were a really kind person and great friends,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it lasted for a little bit, and then that's it.
Do you feel like it was beneficial to like date a bunch afterward to kind of find out what you liked in a partner again?
Yeah, I think definitely after being married, there's a sense of like, there's so much that goes into it. So there's so much that feels like is kind of like shredded out of
Yeah,
you
that's a good way of
when you
putting it.
come out of it. So there are just a lot of things where I'm like, would anyone even like me now that I'm out? Or what, just like a lot of self-doubt or just like lowered confidence.
Yeah.
And so to have someone who you find attractive actually find you attractive after like years of not a great person, it was just like actually really surprising and healing for me
That's
to
really cool.
have someone be like, wow, you're actually beautiful. And I'm like, oh, really?
Like, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think it was beneficial in a different way, as long as I don't think I was healthy enough this year to actually like get into an actual relationship.
That's fair.
I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of people would be like, rebound immediately. But yeah, I was just like self-aware. I'm like, I wouldn't be a good person to be with right after.
Sure.
I feel like that's super
Do you feel like
important.
you had to do like self-healing?
Oh yeah. I feel like I still am every day. I don't think like grieving it.
Joe, you can answer because you've been divorced.
Yeah, yeah.
So like,
Oh,
when
100.
you get divorced,
Yeah.
do you feel like there's this sense of like I have to heal myself before I can commit to somebody else, or like what is that like that turnaround?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. That definitely exists. I think it was more like I need to figure out who I am because so much of who I was wrapped up in that relationship, and without that, I was like, I don't know who I am, what I like, what I want, like any of it. And so there definitely was a lot of healing that needed to take place. I dated a lot in the last year, but there's still healing that needs to take place. Like a year and a half out from a 10-year relationship does not feel like that long. And so there's so many pieces where I don't think I need to wait until I'm like all better, right? Because I don't think that really exists. But to know that I can support like a healthy relationship. And when I've been in those places, I've done it. Yeah.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Snaps for that. Yeah. So you were saying earlier, you feel like apps are not for you. What does the rest of the? Do you think that app dating has ruined dating? Would be the question.
I mean, I'm an old soul, so
Yeah.
yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. All right.
How old a soul, Justin? How do you identify, like age-wise?
I mean, like,
I feel like I see like a 60-year-old in you. No, I'm just kidding, Justin.
when we get done with jujitsu, my back hurts. There is that. I don't know. Like, I believe in like the older things, right? Like, you treat people right based off of how they are as a person, or your spouse. It's a team. It's not an individual thing, right?
Yeah.
And like communication's huge. So I'm like, I don't know. I would say I hold older values that I don't think are still alive today. I think a lot of those values have dissipated us. And I think part of that is because of apps like Tinder and Bumble and those sorts of things.
Why do you think that is? Like, what impact do you see them as having?
I think we live in a instant gratification. So it's
Like
like
the like
yeah,
you were saying.
and that's exactly like she
By
was
the way,
saying.
like this video if you guys are watching.
Like and
Just saying.
subscribe.
Perfect.
Swipe right.
Sorry, continue. You were talking about instant gratification.
It's just, I think it's kind of dissipated the dating field, right? And then people are like, screw it, I'm done. Like, I don't want to do it anymore. So you have a lot of people who are just like, look, I'm going to wait. I'm going to kind of sit on the outskirts and see what happens
Yeah.
versus actually trying anymore because it's so tedious trying, right?
And I think that's probably where I am. So yes,
Yeah.
I
yeah.
understand. Yes,
Do you,
but ruin is such a strong word. I think it's like
Sure.
looking for a needle in a haystack or something. It's so hard because I'm sure there's some good people in there. Like some of my male friends literally just swipe through yes to everyone just to see who they match with and like
Yeah,
you know,
that's a
pick and,
pretty
like-
common thing. I don't
I
know.
I don't know.
like
Yeah, some of my guy friends have handed me their phone. They're like, swipe for me. And I'm like,
Like I got tired of like swiping right. or something.
outsourcing the swiping, that seems like a new level of.
To be fair, I've done that for like an ego boost. I just
Oh,
swipe right
sure.
on everybody and be
Oh,
like,
yes.
I am attractive.
Look at that. Oh, yeah.
Look at all these matches.
Yeah. But I don't.
yes, is a great ego
Yeah.
boost because for women, you don't have to communicate with them at all, and they can still like talk to you or message you or things like that. Hinge is an interesting. There's so many different ones out there.
How many different apps are you on currently, if you don't mind me asking?
Zero.
Oh, so
I'm the
that's
one
right.
who like goes on for 2 seconds and then deletes it.
Like this was
I'm
too
like,
much.
why? I see what I have.
Have you ever gone on a date from an app, or has it always been real life connections?
No, I think I have been on like a couple dates, and they were all right. They were fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Cool.
How many how many people that get a first date with you get a second date?
No.
Like none?
Well,
Like zero?
fair enough.
No, let me
Fair
be.
enough. I mean,
Like I'll like you want to be friends? I guess we could be friends if you want to be friends. Especially if like I don't know. I can be nice. I guess is there a nice girl syndrome? I don't know. Not in that way,
I'm a nice
but-
girl, right?
I'm
That sounds less
like-
threatening somehow.
You're right. You're right. But,
Double standards.
but like if you're cool and stuff, I'm down to chill and but like boundaries are
Yeah.
Yeah.
important, which I'm working on because
You boundaries, yeah, challenging to hold them.
They're not a good time.
Wait. What's not a good time?
I mean, I used to be a huge people pleaser, so setting and holding boundaries it makes me
Gross.
feel like a horrible person.
Yeah.
Is there any
That's the
boundaries you
one.
can think of that are like for you that you would need with people?
I mean, like communicating
Mhm.
and just communicating mostly like what you actually want. Because
Yeah.
I've been in relationships where I've like, hey, is this okay? And they were like, yeah. And then I could see on their face they didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, why did you say it was
Say it. Say what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. That well, and what do you think? Do you think that apps have ruined dating? Did you chime in on that?
Maybe to a certain extent. I think
Okay.
it also makes it more convenient because I don't have to
Absolutely.
go to a terrible club downtown to meet somebody.
Just-
I can just
and
swipe
work.
and be like, oh, I like your personality through text. Let's, like you were saying earlier, like, I like who you seem to be. Let's
Yeah.
see if that matches up to who you actually are in person. Then I go on a date and then see how it goes.
Yeah.
Does anyone else like to club here? Go to bars?
I do
Yeah.
very regularly.
Is that where you're meeting like most of your potential people to date? Or not really?
I'm not trying to because it's a country club.
Oh yeah. I
Oh,
gotcha.
yeah,
I gotcha.
yeah.
We won't say the bar. Or country club, whatever. Yeah. There's more than one.
But it's interesting hearing what he's saying because I would say the exact same thing, except that's why I go out and not use dating apps.
Oh,
He was saying
interesting.
that Because when I go out, like I meet so many people, and based off of like the first sentence that I have with someone, I know whether or not I'd want to talk to them more. So I don't know if you were saying something on the lines of, I don't know, maybe not.
I don't know. I'm different though. I'm hyper introverted, and I also don't like making anybody uncomfortable.
Oh, okay.
So like when I'm out in public, unless I know 1000% sure that you're interested in me, I'm gonna look at the floor. I'm not gonna look at you.
Okay, see that makes sense because I'm like so extroverted. I'm like 1 out of every 100 people I meet is someone I would actually get along with. So we gotta find them. Like,
So meet all
I think
of
it's good to
them.
be picky about who you're going to be
Yeah.
with, especially when it comes to dating. Like, why waste your time if you don't have? Oh, it's actually, this jumps into a perfect question. You're kind of like, we're describing like what I would consider to be like spark. Like if you don't have that spark with someone, you wouldn't even consider them. Is that kind of what you were talking about?
yeah.
How important, this is for the whole panel, how important is it to have that spark with someone that you're looking to have a successful relationship with? Let me add something to that real quick. Can you have a successful relationship without that spark? So kind of a two-part question. Anyone can jump in here.
Okay, I got this one. Just because like, I've been thinking about that because I felt like I had a spark with someone, you know?
Yeah.
And like it sucks trying to look for another spark with somebody else. And like it's hard thinking
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
should I even continue this if I don't feel the same kind of way or even a little remotely closely to the same way, you know? So I don't know. I think it's important to have the spark, but like also kind of what do I know? Because here I am. But
Well, I mean,
being
your
picky is
experience,
very
yeah.
good. Yes.
Yeah.
So the spark is important to me.
Justin, it looked like you wanted to say something.
I would say the spark is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I would say that putting in the effort to keep the spark is huge.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So
Because-
keeping the spark.
Yeah. So, because your second part was you asked, can you maintain a relationship with somebody that you don't have a spark with?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where the downfall starts, right? Like when you lose that spark, you stop communicating. And communicating is the biggest factor. So if you stop communicating, then why are you in a relationship? Because you're not meeting each other's needs at that point.
What does the spark mean to you?
Yeah, you beat me to it by like a half a second.
Same person.
Yep.
Yeah, like what does that feel like or look like
I
for
think
you?
that's a large question.
Yeah.
like,
Okay,
oh,
fair,
God.
fair.
The impossible question.
Answer only what you would
I
like
don't
to.
know. Like, I think the spark is meeting each other's needs in different facets, right?
Oh, interesting.
So you meet them physically, like you hug, kiss, do whatever, hold hands, whatever you initially feel comfortable with, right?
Yeah.
But beyond that, you're meeting each other's emotional needs and kind of like in a sense like a spiritual need. Like you're meeting that where you and that person see eye to eye, right? For example, you and Megan. You guys, you can see, still have a spark. You know?
I'm glad it's apparent on the outside. Right, Meg? Woo! Yeah.
Aaron's dead on the inside.
As my eyes glaze over. No. Megan's the bomb.
But yeah, no, like you guys, like for you guys, right? I've never seen you two not come in happy with each other. Like, and you can tell that you guys communicate very well. Like when you were starting the gym, Megan would come in and help out. This was something that you pursued and she supported you.
Mm-hmm.
And by her showing up and helping you decorate the gym, that meant something to you.
Mm-hmm.
So for you, you're like, okay, she's meeting this need. What can I do to meet her needs? So I'm sure you're there for her emotionally and you're there for her physically.
Well, I
And
certainly try.
yeah. And so for her, you're meeting those needs. And then like if she has a stressful day at work, she comes to you and talks to you. So like I think that's keeping that spark is
Interesting.
I wouldn't phrase it as a spark, I'd say effort would be the biggest thing, right? Like you're putting in that effort for your partner. And
Yeah.
you're putting in that effort for your person.
Yeah. That's interesting because I've always thought of spark as more because I mean I completely agree with all of that on like successful long-term relationship, continue investing in each other. But I've always thought of spark as like the initial like, oh, there's something there, right? Like do you feel like you need that?
I feel like that fades too though, right?
Right. I mean, I think that's a
Sure.
solid argument,
You
honestly.
know?
But I
So
guess
like how
that-
long does
yeah.
that last? A week, 2 weeks? Because it's like getting a new job. Like you
Yeah.
get a new job, you're like, oh yeah, I'm all gung-ho and excited. And then after like 3 weeks, you're like, I'm doing the same thing.
Like,
I
oh,
was
it's a
doing
job.
prior.
Okay.
Yeah, I just get paid a little bit more to do it.
Yeah.
So like that quote unquote spark fades, right?
Yeah.
Because that honeymoon phase is over. So how do you keep yourself ingrained in that?
Well, maybe it's like a broader question. Maybe it's like, do you need a honeymoon phase? Like if we're going to broaden it out a little bit, like if you don't have that, is it possible to build back from there? Anyone can jump in on this one.
That's just so interesting because like there's not even a little bit of a honeymoon phase, you know? I feel like there should be. Like how can it even continue without one? You know? I don't know.
Fair. I feel like
Oh, I agree. I'm
Yeah.
just curious what everybody else
Right.
thinks here.
I think it's kind of like I'm kind of in the middle because
Yeah.
I've had one of my longest term my longest relationship, I didn't really have a spark. It was just like, she's cute, she's nice to me. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
And then I had a spark with somebody, and it like, I don't know if it was a spark, but I like felt like I could be who I am, and I didn't have to like baby them into my personality, because it's kind of a lot sometimes. And it like consumed me, and I was like, I
Like,
have
burnt you
to
up,
keep this
like-
forever, because I've never felt this before.
Yeah.
You think it was because you were trying so hard? Like, do you think it was unreciprocated effort?
No, because initially it was, and then like I like crossed a boundary. She was like, oh, I need a little space, and I was like, no, don't leave me, please don't leave me. And then that like deteriorated it all and kind of destroyed it. So I don't know. I think it's balance. Like it can be really good to have a spark at the beginning, but you can
Yeah.
also foster a spark,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word, I guess.
Would you say there's highs and lows then?
Yeah, of course.
Like you have the spark for a little bit, and then the spark's gone. Then the spark comes back, and then the spark's gone.
yeah, but I think that's
comes and
in
goes.
anything. Like even in like relationships, like you can be like, this person's my best friend, but I want to punch him right in the face right now.
I feel like for me, the spark is super important, at least initially, and actually for later stuff too. I feel like in hard times in relationships, being able to look back at like the times, especially early on, like I remember what it was like to meet Megan. I remember like, you know, the first date, all that kind of stuff. And I like looking back fondly on those moments of like when the initial spark was there, and the spark is transformed into something, you know, significantly different today. It's more like companionate love with my wife. But being able to look back at those times when like everything fluttered and everything was amazing, and I couldn't stop thinking, you know, about Megan for like a single moment. I think that's really important for fostering like long-term like connection later. So for me, I feel like spark is important, obviously in the early days, but also like to be able to reminisce about like what it was like in the beginning to like foster something long-term. But that's just me. What do you think?
I've wondered about that a lot because we've had conversations about that. And on the podcast last week, actually, we had a married couple who've been together for 10 years?
Yeah, it was about 10, right?
Yeah. And
so.
yeah, and they were like, no spark, absolutely no spark at the beginning. Like I thought he was annoying. I didn't like him. Like it like took a while to build that. And they have a very successful, like happy relationship with a kiddo.
But they did have like a spark later.
But not at first.
Right. It was like when she like decided that she was like going to be potentially open.
Yeah.
It was, you know, when he was
she
being like
gave him a
super
shot,
extroverted.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
But that's kind of what I mean by like
Yeah.
you can foster the spark. Like it doesn't have to be there immediately.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like I might agree with, like in my own life, I might agree with that because I've had relationships where it was like, oh my God, immediately like, you know, crazy feelings, crazy everything. And I've also had it with like people I'd known for a really long time and had never really thought about in that way. And then was like, oh yeah, I could see that, you know, and tried that. So maybe a little bit. I'm undecided on how important it is. I'm torn.
Sounds like it could be great for some people and maybe not for others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To each their own.
Yes, exactly.
I got another question.
Please go for it.
All right. Who should pay on the first date?
I mean, I can tell you. I don't
Jump on it.
When I go on dates, maybe this isn't unorthodox. I go to places that I would go by myself, and I'm just kind of like, come along with me.
Yes,
so I
fair.
don't care. Like I'll pay because
Yeah.
I just want to pay, and I don't know. Maybe it's like ingrained in me because my dad's like super old school. They're like,
Sure.
I
Fair.
will pay.
Yeah.
But like I go to places that I want to go. So that way it's not like obligated. Like it's not like, oh, I hate seafood, but she wants seafood.
That's
So
a
I guess we'll go to seafood.
Good way of approaching that, right? Like do something you would enjoy anyways.
Yeah.
And you're paying for it because
I also think too that to have realistic expectations, right?
yeah.
So you're not going to take like if I was Aaron, just as an example.
Hey,
if I was
buddy.
taking Aaron on a date, right?
Where would we go, Justin?
Well, that's the thing. I'm going to take you to a coffee house because I can afford your $5 latte. Like
For
it's not
sure.
a big deal. I'm not going to hold a grudge if we never see each other again. But if I take you to a steakhouse and you buy a $90 steak and now I'm mad at you because you had me pay for your dinner and we never talked again, I think that also comes down to it, like what you were saying, you know, you have some expectations of like, hey, I'm going to go somewhere where I enjoy, but at the same time, I'm not going to be upset if this doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
I've always been a big fan of like coffee first dates generally because they're low risk, they're public, it's in the middle of the day, preferably. You can walk away, you can get away from that. You don't have to sit down for a full meal. And it's like, it's relatively like inexpensive. Also, like you can talk a little bit easier, you know, between every bite of food, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Pandy? Who should pay on the first date?
Oh, I don't know, because in general, I'm like, I know that a lot of women expect men to. I personally, when I go out with anyone, I pay for myself.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably just me self-protection, just because I've had a lot of issues with men being
Yeah.
like, well, I did this for you.
It's like, no.
And I'm like,
that.
nah, I'm good. So I normally pay for all my own stuff.
What you were just talking about, the expectation that if they pay for something large, they should probably get something in return. I'm assuming that's what you were kind of talking about.
Even if it's like a second date, I feel like it's
Oh,
kind of
interesting.
emphasized behind like, next time you,
Oh man.
Oh,
You know.
gross.
Does anyone like overtly say anything, or do you just kind of get the feeling that that's what they're talking about, like kind of like referring to?
I don't know. It's just that sense of like, I don't want to owe them anything at the end of this.
That
I
sounds
would
almost-
rather just.
That sounds almost verbatim, kind of what you were talking about
Yeah.
a couple
Oh,
weeks ago.
100%. Yeah. Very much so. Where
Yeah.
like I always offer to pay, like, period.
Yeah.
And then like I'd happily pay for myself. And if they want to, awesome. But I want to make sure that there's like,
I'm on the same boat.
yeah,
like
I want to
that.
make sure that there's no like expectation.
Yeah, my dad always was like, men buy you anything, we're gonna expect something. So I'm like,
Yeah.
Interesting.
So my
It's
dad
an
thinks that to me.
underlying thing, because I've had a guy, and it was a guy friend, but still, like,
Yeah.
he ripped my card out of my hand and paid for it for
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
and I was like, never do that again.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
will
fair.
break your arms.
Seems a little aggressive, yeah.
That's like,
Yeah.
yeah, like no.
No.
Okay, fair. That makes sense. So yeah, so you like paying for yourself. Yeah.
Very progressive panel. I dig it.
and you said that, like, do you also
More in your boat. I will offer, but I'm not gonna fight you, honestly.
Yeah,
So-
right. Like
Yeah.
if someone wants to,
Like-
I'm like, okay, absolutely, but like it's not expected that you're gonna do that.
Yeah.
I actually always like enjoyed the dance of like, oh no. I mean, like I was.
But
cool
you
with
like
that.
the day? I hate
Oh,
that.
I
hate
mean,
it
but
so
it's always
much.
kind of.
It's a word.
I always like,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, if somebody wants to pay, like, but I generally pay for like my friends too. Like, I love paying for like my groups of friends to go out. So like, I like doing it just because it's a fun thing for me to do for other people. I don't know if you'd call that like just like normal, like being courteous or something, but
Yeah.
I mean, I just like doing it generally. So I'd probably do it on dates anyway, unless there was like some sort of strong pushback for going like 50-50. That's fine too. Whatever the other person's comfortable with.
It's like I invite somebody out, I will pay for them though.
That's been a pretty.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's been like whoever like invites the person out seems to be the one that should pay. A lot of people on the panel have talked about that over the past month or so. But you got another question lined up?
Yeah, I do. We're gonna sticking with like the first date side of things for another second. I'm curious if you guys have any big like unusual first date red flags or things that you'd be
Ooh.
like, nope, not that person. Beyond the normal of like is super rude to the waiter or waitress, because I feel like that's a pretty
I
universal
was going to
one.
say that one.
Yeah, like that's the one I feel like across the board is pretty consistent.
Like it's just random things like men who watch football.
All right, fair enough.
You're here. I hear you.
I used to be into football like that too, and all of
that
my
is
boy
oddly
exes-
specific.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It was just a random one.
No, I was asking for random.
Sorry,
so yeah.
Sid,
just like,
sorry,
I
Sid.
have
You got to
to-
shut off ESPN, bro.
It's hockey. I'm hockey. She said football. We're good. We're good.
like,
Yeah.
fair. It's like the
Yeah.
personal preference of like sports bros
Just
or
like,
maybe
I
not your
gotta
cup of
do
tea.
this on a Sunday. Gotta schedule my day around your football game. That's cool.
Yeah, fair. You don't want to give up like a day of the week to that again.
Yeah,
kind
I
of
don't
thing.
know. It's
Okay,
just
fair.
interesting.
How about you, Sid?
I don't know. I've been going to therapy for a while. My therapist advised that I
Preach.
come up with a few questions to like streamline the process. So I ask
Good
like
idea.
weird questions just
Yeah.
to see like who they are as a person.
Yeah. Oh, what are those?
Like one of them was like, if you could only be honest or kind, which would you be?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
Do you have an answer you want from that?
I mean, I don't want them to be kind. I would rather
Yeah.
them tell me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then there's just like, and then I ask weird questions too, like to see if like they're like a closet like sexist or like racist. And I'm like,
Yeah,
don't like you. You're
Fair.
very attractive, but you're a terrible person.
Yeah. Hard no.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other like questions in particular?
Intrigued. What other questions are
Yeah.
there?
I'm like,
Yeah,
that's
this
a
is
great
great.
idea though.
I mean,
to have.
I have like a whole list in my phone.
Yeah.
but-
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. How about do you have any like first date red flags or things you look out for or would?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I definitely do that too, where
Yeah.
I'll ask the weirdest questions, but the underlying like meaning of the question is a lot deeper than they think, because they're like answering and I'm like, wrong.
Like
And then I'm like,
analyzing
okay,
everything.
well, let's cross that one out. But, it's like, it's good to figure out how to communicate in a way that gets like the initial, oh, this is the information that I would like from you, but it's in a way that's more light, because I think it's a red flag if a guy is like, oh, you're asking a lot of questions.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I
Fair.
feel like that's like when someone's like, oh, you don't need to know that about me yet.
That was a good
This
man
is only the
impression.
I'm like,
I like it. Very
well,
good.
they
Quality
either
stuff.
sound like this or they sound like this in my head. When I talk for a man in my head, so it's one or the other, no in between.
Did I miss any good red flags while I was gone, by the way? Someone, I don't know. What
Sid's red
can
flag.
you repeat it for me?
No.
I'm
Let me
a red
rephrase
flag.
that. No, Sid's not a red flag. Sid
Hello.
brought up some good stuff that he looks
Yes.
for red flags.
Can you
Oh.
repeat it real quick for me?
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
gone. I'm
I-
getting over a cold. I'm sorry.
Like Pandy, I ask like weird questions. Like the one I told Joe. The one I told Joe was, would you rather be honest or kind? And then like it's a deeper question.
Hmm.
But I don't know, just kind of add on.
Yeah.
I'm not that old, but I feel old. So like I don't want to play this game
Yeah.
where I'm like, are we dating? Are we not dating?
Do you like
Are you
me?
talking to other
Do you
people?
think I'm cute? Like,
So like I don't know. I like try and see if like our end goals are aligned. Like, do you want kids? Oh, you don't want kids?
yeah.
Not for us. Best
Right.
of luck.
Oh,
guys.
that's fair.
Like that's the big important
Yeah.
questions.
Or like if they answer like in a non-about way, like I don't know, maybe if it's the right person, I'm like,
Like, what do you want?
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Thanks for reiterating. I appreciate it.
Yes, of course.
Something that Handy kind of made me think of is I kind of do like the opposite. If you're not asking me a lot of questions, there's this, I think I saw it on TikTok. She was like, stop responding to things like if they don't ask you a question, then don't give it to them. Or if they don't ask like, what about you, then just stop
Yeah.
talking more about like yourself and it's crazy how much you talk or you feel the conversations and they just, answer questions or just wait for another question. I don't know.
No,
Sort of.
I,
when they don't
yeah.
respond
Yes.
or build on your questions,
Mhm,
that's
mhm.
the ugliest thing.
To piggyback off that, how do you guys feel about phone use? Because like I said, I haven't been on a first
Ooh.
date in 12 years. So like when me and my soon-to-be wife go out,
Phone use.
Oh, fu-
we
oh.
put our phones away, like they're left in the car, and that's our time together. So like for you guys going on first dates,
That's a dream.
no, but like for you guys going on first dates, like how do you factor in phone use? Because I'm like phones are so big nowadays.
I always would put my phone on do not disturb and like in my purse unless there's an actual reason. Like unless I don't know. Yeah. Like
Wait,
I wouldn't have it out at all.
has anyone ever used their phone to get out of a date?
Yes.
Oh,
Have you?
oh, I just got this crazy,
ask?
Well, actually,
whatever.
it wasn't even. I don't know. I didn't even use my phone. I don't know why I said that, but I just like it just wasn't going well, and then I was
Yeah.
like, I don't want to be here.
Okay. I actually respect that. I actually respect that.
Were you,
respect that
were you
too.
that straightforward though?
Yeah, I was like, this isn't working. I want to go home and go to sleep.
I'd rather be asleep. to be
Okay, but
honest.
here's why I think here's why I think that's fantastic. You were direct, like you're not wasting another person's time, and the moment you know.
Yeah, but it's a little mean for being like in the moment.
I mean,
Might be a
It was a
different way
little
to
mean.
phrase
She was
it.
I'm sure you could have been
Probably.
semi
remember
more
that.
courteous, but I appreciate the directness, which I think is really lacking in a lot of the way that people interact with people who are trying to date. I feel like, the ghosting is a thing because of the lack of being direct with other people.
Yeah.
So that's why I respect that. Even if it was done in like maybe a slightly clunky way, I think that like your heart is in the right spot of being direct
Thank you.
there.
Thank you.
And that's very good for people pleaser right there. So
I mean,
Yeah,
wouldn't,
like,
wouldn't you
how
want?
dare you?
Wouldn't you want someone
I
to like
killed
tell
that
you?
Therapist is great.
She's the best. She's the best.
Oh man.
But to answer your question, Joe, I
Yeah.
think that at the beginning of the date, it's fine because I know that a lot of women send texts like, "I'm not dead. This is the
Yes,
person."
or like yeah, he
But, like,
actually
if
does
you're
look
like
the way
on
he
your
said, or,
phone
like-
throughout the whole date, I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
Why are we here?
That would be a mega turn off if somebody was on their phone for like a first date in particular. Like that'd be horrendous.
Or
Also,
like
I
a
would just feel like
second or
it.
third or a, yeah.
Or
don't know.
I mean, any of
Yeah.
like the. I mean, I get it. Like I mean, I think dates should be kind of like what you were talking about. I think that's like the ideal version of a date. In fact, like when my wife and I go out on dates, we take our phones, we like turn them over, turn them off, and put them on the table, and we don't mess with them. It's been awesome. But
I love that. I never use my phone, which
Yeah.
is funny because people are always like, "Oh, you're on social media all the time." I'm like, I'm actually
Same.
not. I'm never on it.
Yeah.
And I am terrible at responding. So I'll have tons of messages on random platforms that I haven't responded to in days because I'm not always with people, but I'm either working or I'm with people. And when I'm with people, I don't touch my phone at all. So people are always like, why don't you ever respond? And I'm like, it's because I'm never on my phone. I'm sorry.
I think
like
okay, go ahead,
that's
Jen.
that's an assumption that's made because you work in social media and I work in social media, and the more that I've been on it, the less I'm on it. Like the longer
Same.
I've been in, like worked in social media,
Yeah.
I don't do a whole lot of scrolling except if it's like really late and I'm really bored or sad.
Because you post your
aside from
stuff
that-
and then you get off.
like
and close
memes.
your eyes.
I'm there to like post my stuff and then like for memes specifically, and
Memes.
that's it. Like
I
yeah.
check all like the 3 people who send me the best memes. I
Same.
check their
Thank you,
stuff
Sid.
and then I get off.
Your meme dealers.
Yes.
And
I
dogs
feel
go.
like
Can't forget the
Oh yeah,
dogs.
that's right.
the
Dogs
phone
too.
stack is a really cool thing you can do with like groups of friends too. I stole this from somebody like years ago where like the entire friend group like stacks their phones face down on vibrate, and the first person to check their phone when they hear a vibrate has to pay.
Oh, that's so.
Never
Yeah, I mean, like, who knows
I
if they
would
actually do
never
that?
pay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so
I mean, like,
good.
I love it. I feel like it increases your ability to have conversation with, like, not even just like romantic partners, but anyone in a friend group too. You know, if there's any time, I mean, for me, like dinner in particular and like getting food feels sacred. Like, I want to like talk with people the entirety of my time. Like, you can be on your phone any other time, you know, but like that feels, for whatever reason, like food feels sacred in terms of chatting. But all right. Should I jump into some of the next ones?
Yes.
All right,
Getting my
we're gonna
leg
get into
up.
some crazier ones now. Well, I think they're slightly crazier. Do men generally want to sleep with their female friends if given the chance?
Yes.
My brothers would say yes. Yeah, I don't even
Your
know.
brothers? Is that what you said? Your
Yes,
brothers would
always.
say
They're
yes?
like, the only reason they're your friends is because they're trying to get in your pants. I'm like, thanks.
yeah, like great.
But yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think maybe they're always down. Probably the majority. But I don't know if it's like the main goal. No, I think women and men can be friends. I don't know.
Wait, can or
One of the
can't?
saddest things, because I've tried to prove it wrong. Even in high school, I did a whole PowerPoint presentation on
Did
why
you really?
I
love
think
that.
it was why they can't be, but in my head I was like, no, they can, because I was in high school and I was dumb. But especially like the past couple of years with me streaming, like so many guys, you meet so many guys and you can know them for years online, and then as soon as you meet them in person, there's like this weird like just the dark shadow over their eyes, and you're just kind of like
You're like, oh, okay.
oh, okay,
You get the vibe they're putting down like immediately, sort of deal.
yeah. Well, it's just like, so I think it was last year that I made this one friend, was friends with him for 2 years. We talk every single day. But I met him on Twitch. And so I had a favorite band and he was like, oh, we should go see them. I was like, yeah, sure. And so before he came, he knew that I was married. And so like I told my husband and he was like, no, it's chill. And we went to the concert. He left me at the concert.
Wait, what?
Because before it even started, because I gave no indication that I was going to sleep with him at the end of the night.
Oh my god.
And
Wait,
that was
hold on,
after
hold on.
being friends for like 2 years.
Wait.
Oh,
We gotta.
shit.
If you don't mind, I want to dive more into this.
Nice guys.
So,
Nice guys.
was he like making like moves that like you were rejecting, or what?
Never. Like we were completely platonic.
Well, I mean, like at the concert.
online. Well, while we were there, he was like making it really weird where he was just like, oh, let me see your Snapchat. Are you sure you don't have any guys on your Snapchat?
Wait, what?
And I was like, no.
You're,
He's like,
you're married at this
kidding."
time.
Yeah. And he was like, of course, I met the one woman in the entire world who doesn't cheat on her husband.
Oh.
Whoa!
And I was like,
Oh.
pardon?
God. Like with Shereen. Oh, you had to be the one who doesn't
yeah,
cheat.
that's
like, really?
exactly how
Boy,
it
in
was. He
terms
was
of
like,
pickup
oh,
lines.
of course.
Man.
You have, and like, we were such good friends at this point.
Oh,
so it was
shit.
just like,
So this is out of
alarming.
like he never gave any indication of like wanting to be with you romantically prior to the
he
concert.
did
Oh, he did.
previously, like he had already told me like, hey, I'm interested. And I was like, no, I'm married. And he was like, oh, okay. So we're like completely
So
platonic.
you shut it down.
Yeah. like a year before, and even and then there was never any talk. He was just always so respectful. Always, we were just very good friends, and we really understood each other. So meeting him in person, and then going to that, and then he left before the concert started. I was just like,
wow.
I was like,
He left you there.
in Denver.
That's messed up. Although I'm not sure I'd want to ride back at that point.
Like with
I'm
someone
in
who's
your
being
shoes.
like that to you, that's awful.
Like he didn't
awful.
directly ask me to sleep with him, but it was literally like it hit a point after he said like, oh, of course you're the one woman who blah, blah, blah. Like after he kept saying weird stuff like that, he was like, are you sure there's no one on your Snapchat who you're like? I'm like, no, I literally don't. I don't do anything, bro. And he was like, okay. And he like,
That's a bold man.
he
right
leaned
there.
over, said
No
thanks
more
for
swearing.
everything.
Yeah, not a good way.
Got up and left. It was insane.
Oh, that's actually heartbreaking, especially like considering you considered him like a good friend, and then it's like, wow, like ouch. Yeah.
Like we were
Gross.
tight. So
you
after that, for sure, I'm like, no, guys.
Did you talk to him after that?
Yeah. Like I'm a very forgiving human, apparently.
Wait, are you guys still
But-
friends?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Oh my!
He's one
That's
of my
interesting.
mods for my stream.
Oh god. Okay.
Oh,
okay,
no.
okay.
Playing a dangerous game right now.
Yeah, no, but like we talked it out and he apologized and he still apologizes profusely for everything. But
Do you think it was like an off day or something, or what?
no, I think it was just a matter of like for me, of course, I'm like, I think you were expecting a lot when you came and you didn't realize it. So you kind of just,
Couldn't
like-
hide it.
yeah.
Mm.
And so like having it, a lot of people don't know how to inward seek on themselves. So a lot of the times, especially meeting so many people online, I've had to like teach them how to dig into themselves and be like, what about this? Do you think it could be this? And having them be like, oh yeah. So it was kind of like a mutual thing where I was kind of, I'm like, maybe you thought that I would, and saying like, it's okay if you had those expectations, but you should have known my character better to know that I wouldn't
Yeah.
do
certainly.
that.
Did he ever approach you post divorce?
No. No.
So after that, it sounds like maybe he did respect the boundary that you placed of like, I'm not interested in you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he
okay.
apologized several times. And so I was like, yeah, it's fine. I'm like,
That does sound like you're a
Whatever.
very forgiving person.
So wait, so you said after that you feel like men and women can't just be friends? Is that what you said?
oh,
or did
for
I
sure.
mishear
I
you?
think that there's always the underlying, if you gave them the opportunity,
Oh, okay.
they would be like,
Yeah.
Do you think
Sure.
context matters to that though?
what kind?
Like, if both parties are in a relationship and they're committed to their other partners, but there's something mutually beneficial between the two. So, for example, a really good friend of mine, Mo, she does jujitsu with us, but she's married, I'm married, and it's strictly like, hey, we're here for jujitsu. This is it. There's nothing more
Mhm.
beyond that. And I'm like, I feel like we're pretty good friends. So I'm like, do you feel like
Yeah.
if there's a mutual goal that's not romantic, could it still work out as friends?
I think it depends a lot on boundaries, especially with like marriages. And my specific husband was not the kind of person I could trust with
Yeah.
any of my female friends, which was sad to say
Okay.
because it was just like, it didn't matter who it was, because there were a lot of my friends who I knew liked him before we were together. And so there was always an underlying, but for that, it's like you're both like, obviously, but when you hang out, you don't just hang out with her,
I mean, sometimes.
but not for like, you wouldn't go out.
No,
I
no,
guess
no.
by
Like-
yourself.
Like, we'll go to jujitsu and then we'll go have lunch afterwards. Or like when me and Joe have lunch.
Yeah,
We
oh,
met
yeah.
up at the coffee shop. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, could it still work if you realize like, hey, we're both setting these boundaries. This is what we're here for. This is strictly business.
I
There's
think
nothing
technically
romantic.
that should work, but
Well, let me ask
Like
her.
your experience
my
doesn't feel like it fits with
experience,
that?
it's like, no, bro.
Okay.
Well, let me ask a question, kind of like piggybacking off of this. If your partner or spouse or person you were dating did not want you to have friends of the opposite sex, would that be a deal breaker for you, or would you be okay with it?
I don't.
You got it.
Oh, I'll go. So my last relationship, that's what it was. And I have a lot of female friends that I care about a lot, like Joe, for
Yeah.
example. And she didn't want me to talk to any other females because she had previous relationships where it sounds kind of similar, where he was just a gigantic piece of shit. Am I allowed to cuss now?
Oh, now we're good. Yeah, we've been in the cussing is all clear.
But just that
Fuck it, man. We're good.
huge fucking piece of shit. So she just had really big trust issues. But I thought we had conversations where like, hey, I care about these specific people. Not going to add any other random women to my life.
Yeah.
But my friends that I've been friends with for 10 plus years, I'm not just going to cut them out.
Yeah.
That's weird. And I thought that we agreed on it, but like, I think it's, you both have to compromise and agree on that compromise, if that makes sense.
So if both people are okay with it, not a big deal?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Do you think that comes down to communicating that then?
Yeah.
Like, hey, me and Joe are like brother, sister. There's nothing sexual. There's nothing romantic. It's strictly, we're just good friends.
Yeah. And
like you communicating that.
Yeah. I think I'm also maybe a little different, that I think that you can't control people and they're going to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
So if they're going to cheat on you, there's absolutely nothing you can do to stop them.
That is the one.
That's very true.
So you kind of just have to trust them. They say they're not going to cheat. I trust that they're not going to cheat. Then if it blows up in my face, I'll deal with it then.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I agree with that a whole lot because I'm never going to control what someone's going to do. Like, shit happens. And I think, like, your original question, I think that's probably the top of the list of my deal breakers if I was dating someone or thinking about it and they were like, you can't have male friends, or like, I'm uncomfortable with that. I'd be like, that, I respect that that's like your preference, but most of my really good friends are men.
Sure.
I think in your
So,
position,
like-
that's super hard too.
Yeah,
'cause
yes, it is.
You do jujitsu.
Yeah,
And
yes.
It's becoming a female encapsulated sport.
Yeah.
But
My new gym
Statistic-
just has guys. So
yeah, I'm like, statistically speaking, it's a male dominated sport.
Yeah.
So I think that's hard too. Like, you're spending in time in a space with mostly men.
Yeah.
Right. And that,
yeah.
that creates a whole different conundrum.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So that's always been like, at least for me personally, like a big red flag of like, there isn't a way to negotiate that for me. I'm like, no, I have the people I have and I expect trust because I'm worthy of trust and I will like give it to them in return as well.
I just don't think it's really possible to like control someone's behavior by forbidding them to not have friends of the opposite sex,
Yeah,
not go to
100%,
clubs or
yeah.
I
bars.
feel like that would make them want to do it more
Yeah.
for some reason.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Like breaking free.
I've never really been about that. And there are lots of people in the dating world that like advocate for like, you can't let your woman like go to a club or go to a bar because she's going to cheat on you or men are going to hit on her.
Awful.
I know.
That's so ugly. If anyone said that to me,
Oh, there's a whole world out
I
there.
think to that too, right? You could go to Target and get hit on.
Yes.
So you're going to tell your spouse they can't go grocery shopping?
I think the argument would be that like, let's say like clubs and like bars, for instance, like I guess the expectation is you're probably going there, or at least like it's more readily available for like to meet someone romantically. You're probably not going to the grocery store. You could meet someone there, but the connotation is a little bit different. I know people talk about Trader Joe's.
tomato. So
Wow.
There's like a whole meme about like going to Trader Joe's.
easier often.
But I've never been about that. I feel like limiting your partner's movement in the world is a very poor way to build like a long-term successful relationship.
Yes, I'm all about we are here to experience whatever we choose to experience, you know? And
Sure.
like no one should stop you from doing that because like we
And honestly, if your partner's not cool with it, they're welcome to leave.
yes, there's other my
You know?
people will find me, you know?
Yeah.
Aaron, would you say that creates more fights then in a relationship when you set those boundaries and those limitations?
You mean specifically about not going out?
Mhm.
I think it's a dangerous road to move down as a couple. Not really any relationship structure when you're trying to. And I do think that there's a caveat to that. You know, like if you're expecting like a monogamous one-on-one relationship and like, you know, your partner all of a sudden wants to start like sleeping with other people and you're not down with that, obviously that's not going to work long term. It's a little bit different in that particular case. Like I'm not going to like lie in bed with other women, you know, even if I'm not going to do anything, like I wouldn't do that.
The context just feels so.
Yeah. I mean, I would say
Heavily
that there's
sexual.
like a limit of like, you know, not putting myself in an actual sexual, like any sort of like position like that with somebody else. But when it comes to like my normal movement around the world, like, you know, having lunch or, you know, getting coffee or something like that, like I would never restrict anybody in that way. But
I mean, everybody kind of universally agrees that like trust is the foundation of a
Trust
relationship.
and communication.
And if you're
yes.
automatically like, hey, you can't do this, it kind of automatically like erodes that from the very beginning. And like you said, it makes it very difficult to go down that road.
Yeah, I think that's very true.
Well, let me ask something about trust real quick, and then we'll jump back to anything you have here, if you can hold it on for 2 seconds. When you meet someone for the first time, do they start with like a 100% level of trust? Like, are you starting them at like, I trust you implicitly, or do you start with like
50%?
something different? Are they like building trust with
like,
you, or do you
have
keep
to
them
earn
at,
my trust,
or is it like you have to
I
break
think
it?
it's like
Yeah.
50%. And the more that they say that's like green flags, it goes up. And then they'll say something that's like,
Like,
But
a little
to
lower.
that, I would say your green flags go up like 5% and the red flags drop like 15.
Fair.
Like
Fair.
you build up slowly, but you easily lose that trust.
Maybe I'm too trusting, but
No, I'm the same as you.
Same.
I automatically start at like 90 because I'm very dumb, apparently, and I'm just like, oh, you wouldn't do anything.
You're not dumb.
You wouldn't do anything to hurt me. And then as you slowly do things to hurt me, I'm like,
well, like,
I
you know,
think you're trying to hurt me.
you know, I think there's levels to it. Like, you know, I wouldn't like trust somebody random or brand new with something like really important.
yeah.
But like, you know, if I say like, hey, I want to meet you here at this particular time and we agree to meet and then like doesn't show up or something. Although I've been guilty of that too. So I'm sure I'm on somebody's bad trust meter.
You stood someone up.
But yeah, I
sometime.
feel like when somebody breaks it, then I'm like, okay, I know I can't count on you after the fact. But I do start people at like a high level of trust until they bust it. Maybe that's to my own detriment though. But
I would say I do the same. I try to do the same thing if I'm like actually in a like if I've chosen to be like, hey, we're official, or hey, we're in a relationship. Like the default is like, you have my trust. I might have questions or like moments where I'm like, oh shit, I feel weird about this. Can we talk about it? But I feel like starting with like 90 to 100% is a good place.
Oh, you're positive, Figures. Holy.
I mean, that has not always worked in my favor.
Yeah, I think there's a part in me where I'm like, not that I'm super like cynical about
Yeah.
the world at all, but it's just like after so many relationships where it was like, this is the worst thing ever. I
Yeah.
can't get out. It's
Yeah.
like I'm sure I have more barriers to get through before it's like, yeah. You can hold my dog. Like, no, it takes at least 5 times.
I will say that is like, my dogs are like, no, you have to earn my trust. Like,
Yeah, before they can come to my house, like,
or
no.
let you like check on them. No, like, that's
No.
gonna take a minute.
Yeah, I don't know. There's certain things for sure that people can do that. Like, my favorite thing after hanging out with someone is when they send a text afterwards being like, I had a great time.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that is so handsome. How dare you? Like, it doesn't
that's
matter
hot.
any relationship. If they like communicate afterwards, like, I really enjoyed my time and I appreciated this.
Yeah.
Like, oh my, it goes up so high.
like calling back to a moment of the date, basically.
Like, yeah, or any kind of meeting with anyone. It's
Yeah.
like if they go out of their way to communicate with you, it's like, oh my gosh, like unnecessary, but nice, positive communication. That's so
Yes.
delicious. Thank you.
Yummy.
This is a good opportunity for you to talk about chivalry, maybe.
Yeah, we had a whole conversation about this earlier preparing for the podcast, and I'm completely spacing it. What
Oh, that's okay. So
it's a. What were we going to ask about that though?
hold on, I've got it here. Let me scroll.
I'm pretty sure I said I'll take notes on our phone call. And then
Well,
maybe
my
I-
notes are literally like say like what is chivalry, and then I'm like let Joe talk. So I'll ask the question, but anyone can jump in.
Thank you, Aaron.
What does it mean for like I'll say generally for a man to be chivalrous toward women? What does that mean? And are you looking for that, like in a relationship or a first date? Anyone can jump in here.
I remember what I was supposed to say.
Oh, now you remember.
No,
now.
answer the
That's right. I do all the
questions
work.
first.
My goodness.
That's right.
All right, I guess.
Jump on in, man.
I feel like it's just, like the basic things that like old soul, like old school dating, like opening the door, walking on like the scary side of the sidewalk, like close
Yeah.
to the road, like that
Yeah.
kind of
The
stuff.
scary side, closer
Scary
to the
side.
cars.
Wait,
Yeah.
quick question.
No, I get that too.
Why were you told to walk on the outside of the street? Like,
Um,
was there a reason given? Because I was given a reason. I think it's the wrong one.
I don't know.
what?
I don't think I was ever given a reason, but I just like
Okay.
pieced it together that like if a car is like running, you can be like,
No, I do. I do
Okay,
the.
got it.
I do the
That
same
makes
thing
sense.
generally as well. I think my dad like installed that in me. I'm not really sure. I can't remember where I got it from. But he always did the same thing with my mom. But
was told so that mud doesn't splash on the woman first.
I've heard that too. I've heard that.
I just thought it was like
I think the car thing sounds way more legit.
Oh, I thought it was like, oh, if the car is gonna run up on the curb, I'm gonna die first, sort of deal. So I thought it was like, if I'm closer to the road, although I do this with my wife all the time. Like if it's like a really skinny sidewalk, like I'll put her on like the far side, just because like I guess I'd rather take a car than have her take a car. But
I can take it.
I can take it. Stop it.
I'm pretty sure I could like tank a car at this point.
Look at you.
At least a little bit.
You could.
Yeah, you know, I have a tattoo. That's gotta mean something, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For me, I think those things aren't as like high on my list.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you could do that and still like be very rude or something. You
Be
know?
a dick.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I just, because I've had a boyfriend who always opened the car door. It would annoy me sometimes. Honestly, I'm like, I can do it. I'm kind of independent. I
And
guess.
you
I got
didn't
myself.
give a shit. Wait, did you ever tell him you didn't care for it?
Yes, yes. He did not care. He said, my dad said I had to do this. I'm like, he's like, I got yelled at once, so I have to do this. I'm like,
Okay.
Got that PTSD.
Yes.
Well, you had a date a long time ago where someone talked with you about that, didn't you?
I did actually. So I had a while ago. I had like before I met a first date, we were texting back and forth and like where we're gonna meet and everything. And then he was like, "Hey, by the way, I really like to do the chivalry thing of like opening the door, pulling the chair. Like, is that okay with you?" And I was like, that was one of the best ways that was ever handled. I think it was nice.
'Cause some
it was
people
like,
don't
if
like it.
wasn't, yeah, if it wasn't something I liked, like okay, cool, but like I like doing this, so
That
if
is
you'd allow
so
me,
respectful.
I was like, that's awesome. I really liked that.
So you like the chivalry?
I do like the
Yeah.
pumping of gas. That one is good.
Pumping the so like,
Pumping the gas.
Megan, I normally do this, right? I normally pump the gas, don't I? You sit in the car?
Okay.
Yeah.
80% to B.
I feel like there's been at least one time when I'm like, can you go do it? But I don't remember why. I think I like wasn't wearing like appropriate clothing, or I like sort of I can't
cold
remember.
out there.
Yeah, it's cold. Megan, can you go do it? But how like, so chivalry not important to you as much? Don't really care. How about you, Pandy?
Oh, I think it's so.
You love it, right?
Okay, I think it's grand. I don't need it, but
Yeah.
like if someone's like running around the car to open the door, I'm like,
All your Twitch followers are taking notes right now.
you're running for me. Like I think that's great. It's not necessary, but I think it's the mindfulness behind it.
Sure.
Or like I consider like if I go to a guy's house and it's cold, if he lets me borrow a hoodie,
Yeah.
to wear,
Oh, yeah.
I
The hoodie
consider that
move.
chivalrous.
That's chivalrous. I feel like.
That ends when you
Because-
get married.
Yeah. Wait, does it?
No, it doesn't.
No, it does.
Wait, I'm trying to think of the last
Did
time.
you not get your hoodies?
Oh no.
Oh,
So we'll go
oh.
out and
Yeah.
Kylie will wear socks and Crocs.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, go put some shoes on, your feet are gonna be cold.
Yeah.
And then she's like, my feet are cold. And I'm like, you gotta figure
But
it
that's
out.
different. That's shoes.
Even jackets.
Not a
I'm like, bring a
jacket.
jacket everywhere you go.
You're like,
I
you're
would
grown
wear
up. You
all
should have
of
thought
my
ahead.
exes.
I do
Like,
feel like
hoodies.
I've had conversations about like warmer articles of clothing with Megan, but it's normally I think I always offer it, but you don't normally take it, do you, Megan? No, she doesn't normally take it. A very independent, strong woman.
A strong woman that
I'll
don't need
freeze
no
by
man.
my choice.
Yo. But I mean, like, no, well, because if I'm out and about and then I end up going to their place afterwards and we're just hanging and they're like, hey, do you want a pair of sweatpants?
Yeah.
Like,
Cozy
that is
clothes?
the-
Absolutely, I
yes.
do.
And that's what I'm like, oversized. Yes, I will, because that's what I get into when I get home.
Yeah.
Smart move.
It's like so
Respect the play.
attractive.
That's a big
I'm
brain
gonna try
move.
this when I get home.
Yeah, you should.
I'll be like, we're gonna be sitting on the couch. I'm like, Kylie, you want some?
This is gonna become like a new thing. People are gonna
Do
have like
it. She'll be
sweatpants with them all the time.
Yes. You should give it a shot. You know, it might backfire, Justin. You know her pretty well at this point.
Yeah.
But
Shoot your shot.
So-
shoot your shot.
One of the
with your almost wife.
So one of the reasons why I brought up chivalry and like I guess like being what traditional gender roles, would you call it?
Yeah.
Like opening doors, getting flowers, that kind of stuff is there's like a large contingent of the dating world that says that women don't deserve that behavior in any way because of like generally their promiscuity in the dating world.
Or that
Like if-
you have to like show, you have to prove you're a lady first
promiscuous.
before I
Yeah,
will
and if you're
do
being
anything
promiscuous, you
chivalrous.
don't deserve that chivalrous behavior. And
How
I'm
do you
not-
prove that you're not so that I can
there's-
get
I guess
flowers?
by not sleeping with other people
There's just
at all.
oftentimes the assumption that women are, which
I'll wear a tracker.
statistically is not like,
Buy me flowers. I'll wear I don't like flowers. Buy me chocolate. Dark chocolate.
okay,
Thank you.
chocolate.
If somebody brought chocolate to you on a first date, would that be awesome or weird?
So awesome. Chocolate at any point. Please.
is always a go. Okay,
Please, yeah.
fair.
An A+. How about you?
I mean, I don't really like chocolate, but desserts, anything. Like
Somebody
something
a nice creme brulee.
Yes. yes.
You know,
Creme brulee to the first date.
they got the torch in the back.
in the car.
Actually, I feel like that would be
love it.
so fucking legit. If somebody like
Megan, you
hooked
better
up
watch
some
out.
creme brulee.
You're about to hop in the R8 with the torch.
Instead of their classic knife, they pull out a little blower.
Yeah, like,
That'd be like the most legit thing ever.
Yeah.
It'd be really risky driving in a fancy
Okay, maybe
car.
not like during a drive. But
I meant like just having it in R8, just having a creme brulee, not burnt up, just sitting in the back seat.
Very
It's
true.
Very sketch.
You got one next? I know you got one next.
Well, I was actually going to ask Justin the chivalry question. Is that something like, do you like that word? Do you like do those things? Is that important in your relationship, or is it like not? I feel like that's a loaded question. There's not a right or a wrong.
Are you
answer.
super chivalrous right now?
I mean, I was raised to hold the door open and open the door. Like I even do it with my grandma still.
Yeah.
Like I'll pick my grandma up from
That's
the
a good man
so,
right
for
there.
example, my grandma's coming in tomorrow.
Oh, my wife is
And-
clapping off screen right now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like literally. So my dad to this day will yell at me, and he'll be like, "Go open the door for your grandma." And I'm
There
like,
seems to be a
No,
pattern
and
of
I-
fathers lately
and I
yelling
look
at
at
their
him.
sons.
Yes. And I'll look at him and I'm like, dude, what's wrong with your arms and legs? And he's like, go open the door for your grandma. And I'm like, okay, all right, noted. Like, cool. I just
Got it, homie.
Yeah.
He's bang.
Yeah.
Can you open the door, grandma?
Like even to this day, or like we'll go because my grandma lives in San Diego. We'll go out there for vacation, and my dad be like, "Go open the door for your grandma." I'm like, "Dude, I'm the one on vacation." He's like, "I don't care. Go do it." And like to this day, he'll hit that into me.
I do that for like just everybody that I know. If I'm in like the position to be able to do it, like I'll open the door for everybody though.
Yeah. So I'm like opening the door, yes. Randomly giving flowers, yes. Like it's not a consistent thing. Like
Oh,
I'll just
sure, yeah.
randomly show up with flowers
Yeah,
or other gifts.
That's
Like
even better.
Wait, don't or do?
no, I do.
Oh, you
I think
do.
it's lovely.
Kylie
Yeah.
doesn't know it, so if she's watching this, she's about to get a surprise.
Oh my.
But I bought us matching jerseys because I'm a huge 49ers fan. And so-
Everybody's swooning over
This is
there.
very hope for
No,
humanity.
that's the thing, right? So like 5 years ago, we got matching San Francisco Giants hoodies. Now we have matching 49ers jerseys. And that's what she's getting for our anniversary next week. So it's
Oh,
not even a
that's
wedding gift;
adorable.
it's an anniversary
That's
gift.
amazing.
So there's things like that that'll
Chivalrous.
Chivalry.
yeah, I'm like,
Yeah,
why
I
is
know.
that word so hard?
Okay, so we literally had like we talked about chivalry like a couple weeks ago. Nobody could say it right, myself included.
Yeah,
like,
we're
chivalry, like whatever.
chivalrous.
By the way, we should talk about super chats here for a second.
Oh,
I don't think we have like any recent,
I
but
was
like
like,
just
I
for
don't think
for like pushing forward, we should say. Okay, so anyone in chat right now. Sorry, I'm having you scroll. I'm like, just kidding. If you guys have questions for any of our panel right now, super chats of any size, we'll make sure we read right now. Super appreciated for the podcast.
yes.
Yeah. Awesome.
Also, write the path comments. Why doesn't your dad just get the door? But I think you talked to that. You're like, what's
So-
wrong with your arms and legs, Dad?
There's this like still childish fear I have of my dad. My dad's an ex-Olympic athlete, so I'm still.
Mine is too. Did we? How we never talked about this?
I thought we did.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know. My dad made world teams in judo.
yeah. My dad was a Olympic cyclist.
Yeah.
which is and also a judo guy too.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
So I don't know. I'm still afraid of my dad. So even though I question it, it's more of like you know when your mom hits you as a kid and then you go in your room and you're like, yeah, I'd have done this next time. It's more like that with my dad. We're like, those are just internal thoughts, not actual actions.
He's just gonna
that come out of
toss
my
you
mouth.
whenever he feels like it.
Yeah.
Just look at you wrong.
He's
and-
50 with 2 bad knees and probably could still drop.
I feel like
me.
the same thing.
That
Yeah.
strength doesn't go away.
No.
I
Got
feel
that old
like.
man strength.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Old man.
Yeah.
I
So,
need some of that.
That's why.
Please.
Oh, you're good. Let's see. We got something else. here.
I have a question.
Go for
It's
it.
a bit of a topic change. But this question came up in the first podcast. What do you guys count as cheating? And this was like
Ooh.
suggested as a question that like each individual partnership have a conversation with each other about, because I feel like it's actually different for everybody. So what do you guys count as cheating in a relationship? Is it just sleeping with someone else and that's the absolute line, or is it like
Is there an emotional
is there
component?
emotional or
Okay, that one is interesting because, like you said, I think it really depends on the person you're with because everyone has different definitions. Me personally, I'm like experience whatever you want to experience. So like, dang, cheating. I don't know.
I had to think about this for a while.
That's okay. If you have to think about it,
let
that's
me
okay.
see. Okay.
I feel like there's this push sometimes on podcasts to have people like snap react
right away.
So if
Yeah.
you need to take a couple seconds, that's okay. We're normalizing to think about it for a moment. So is it, let me ask like a more pointed question. Is cheating just physical?
No.
No.
I definitely think there's
Absolutely
emotional,
not.
yes, like
What
that, and that might be the worst. I don't know if I'd rather.
would
have
argue
just
that would be the worst, too.
sexually attracted than emotionally in love with.
So we've all figured out that physical means cheating for sure. What does emotional cheating look like? How does it feel?
I feel like that's a lot more vague.
No.
What?
Like what it actually is. Like
sure.
Yeah, because I absolutely.
Well, I mean,
agree.
it's like to define it individualistically for you guys.
I think in some ways, like I'm trying to figure out how to, because it's like when your significant other has, I feel like like an overbounding attachment to someone, and they are like counting on them to be present for
interesting.
them, like emotionally in any capacity. Not in any capacity. You can have friends,
like
obviously.
like an over reliance on someone who isn't
like
you.
if they have a friend who's a girl who's like constantly like telling them about her relationship and how it's bad and putting him in the situation to be like, oh yeah, you shouldn't be doing, like I feel like in a weird way, that's like, it's just like a weird situation where my significant other is becoming the hero of her
Interesting.
like emotions in a way,
huh.
And when
because
you're, like,
she's
building
coming
them up
to
off
him.
of that.
Yeah, because then if they break up, like, and she's crying, who's going to be? Oh, the only person she's talking to about it, which is my significant other, which is a weird like.
So maybe it's like there are certain things you don't like your partner or spouse to share with other people. Something feels like it off limits.
That, and I would say, like, to piggyback off of that, when you're building somebody else up, and
Mhm.
you're taking that energy and effort away from your own relationship, so you're almost putting them first, right? Like me and Joe right now. Me and Joe are friends, and if I was like, "Hey Joe, you're doing great. I appreciate you," and that's it. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But if I was like, "Oh Joe, you're so beautiful. You should be in a relationship. You're this. You're that. You're blah blah," like that's totally crossing a
Yeah.
line now because now I'm emotionally investing myself in that person. Whereas before, it's just like, hey, you're like last night, I sent you a message, and I was just like, hey,
It's
man.
very nice, by the way. Thank you.
And that's the thing. I was just like, hey, man, you guys are doing a great job. And there was an emotional attachment to that, but it didn't go beyond that. And it stopped there. I wasn't like, oh, Aaron, what are you doing tonight? Aaron, I like you, Aaron. You know what I mean?
You're so hot.
Like, it never made Megan question anything.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. and that's the thing, though, right? Like if Megan read that message, there's nothing there. And I think that's the thing is, could your spouse read that message and see if
that's an
something was there?
interesting-
Well, I definitely agree with that.
I totally agree with
like
that.
if you sent a message to Joe and Megan read it, would Megan feel upset or betrayed by your message?
Yeah,
and
so
not
for
in a
me-
jealousy manner, just like strictly factual, logical.
I
So
think
for-
in a healthy relationship,
Sure.
I would absolutely agree with that. Yeah. I
Interesting.
cut you off, Aaron. Go ahead.
Thoughts on you guys too?
I don't know, kind of similar to them. I think that it's cheating if you're like having problems in a relationship and you're not talking to the person that you are in the relationship with.
Yeah.
And you're going to an outside party. Like if I was dating somebody and I went to Joe, I'd be like, this person is doing this, and I don't know.
Have
what
you talked to
do.
them?
Shut up, Joe. I'm talking to you about it.
Right.
Like I
yeah.
think that's basically cheating emotionally because you're seeking that emotional connection outside of the relationship. But I think there's a difference between like seeking help and then venting to the person though.
Yeah.
I want to definitely return to that in a moment, but I want to get Mahaley as well.
Yes, I agree with what all of y'all said, but for me also, it's like there's the person that you'd rather hang out with and do things with them more than you would rather do with me, then it's like, why wouldn't you just go be with that person? Like, so like activities and
time.
yeah. I guess I'm a
Amount of
quality,
time.
and like my
Sharing
love
time.
language is quality time. So I guess I
Yeah.
feel some type of way about that.
Well, I've got a fun additional question on this that I think will be interesting because I think I see slightly differently than most of the people on the panel for this one. So, is it okay to get? I don't know how to describe it. Things that like is it okay to get things not from your partner?
Like validation or support, that kind of thing. Is that what you mean?
I think it
feel like
depends.
it takes a community, you know,
Yeah.
also. So like you should want support and people to support your significant other too, because you know that's how we get places.
Mhm.
So but
Yeah.
it depends on the, I guess, level of support levels to it.
Yeah.
You
Or
know?
maybe a better way to ask it is like, should you get everything from your partner?
No,
Yeah, not
get
one
some
person can
friends.
get through everything, right?
Go outside.
That's a lot of
trash.
pressure. So
No, I agree. I agree with that because if
Go
you get-
outside.
like you get everything, you get everything from
It's
your
the moral
partner,
of the night,
you become
folks.
codependent, right?
Yeah, I
Codependency.
think
And
very
then
much so.
and then that's a whole slew of other issues,
Yeah.
and you don't want to become codependent on a person. So what you want to do is you want to remain your independence, right? So for you it's cars and it's jujitsu. So that's your independence. Megan lets you have your things, right? She's not encapsulating herself in all of those things with you. You guys have an understanding. So, but you get validation through how good you're doing at everything that you're doing.
Mhm.
We're here to validate you, everybody else, and Megan understands that. So I think it depends on the type of validation you're getting, right? Like if somebody was like screaming in your messages and they're like, Aaron, I love you, Aaron, this, Aaron, that's a whole different ballgame.
That would be very strange. Yeah.
But if you have your independence and people are promoting you and building you up within your independence, there's nothing wrong with that.
I feel like that can also put a lot of pressure on the relationship to just expect everything from one person. Like, that's a lot.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh no, just because I think that depending on where the validation is coming from, it can mean different things. Like for instance, like if I'm dating
Yeah.
somebody and they're like, "Wow, you're getting really good at jujitsu," I'm be like, "Thanks," but I've been a bum and I haven't been in a while. But if Mo was like, "Wow, you're getting really good at keeping those hooks in," I'd be
You're like, oh my god.
"Are you serious?"
Hey, you saw that?
Am I really doing good?
Like, oh, my leg's cramping.
Oh, no.
Well, like actually?
Yeah.
Oh no.
This is the universe being like, go
But
back.
I think it depends. Like if the person has no knowledge or anything in that area, but
Yeah.
they're still complimenting you, like they're trying to support you, but it doesn't mean as much as somebody that's like
Actually, no.
knowledgeable
That's a really
in that
good point.
area.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense. Or
No, I
No,
think
it
that actually makes a
is.
ton of
That's a good
sense.
one,
Yeah.
yes.
It's going to mean something different because the context is
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
It's actually interesting because one of my situationships this year, the one at the beginning, was polyamorous. And
Really?
it brought up a very interesting conversation because in his mindset, he was like, well, the correct mindset of like, oh, not everything should come from your significant other. But that was his idealism behind having multiple partners. Because then he's
Okay,
like, but
yeah.
then you have multiple people. But then, I was like, well, that kind of does make sense. But at the same time, it's like, just make friends. You don't need to have 5 women being like, you're so hot.
Can I ask how many people were in that particular like structure?
I think he would have up to 2 every time. And nothing more than that. But still, he
yeah.
was open to there being more than that. So
Did you feel like you were competing?
we didn't make it official. It was when he asked me to be like the main girlfriend.
The main.
When I cut it off because I was
Oh.
like, no,
Weird.
like, no, thank you.
Like that didn't work for you.
Respectfully.
So it was okay kind of when it was more of a situationship prior?
Wait, what?
What was it? Wasn't it a situationship prior to like the asking and to you to, like for you to be the main person?
Yeah, it was a situationship. He was just very, very cool. So it was weird chilling. And then he asked, he was like, would you want to be like the main? And I was like, I don't really
Like
know
primary
what that
partner
means.
sort of
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, because I feel like it's nearly impossible, even in a monogamous relationship. It's very hard to like divert from jealousy. Like, I feel like that's something you always have
Sure.
to check yourself on is like, oh,
Yeah.
am I reacting out of like,
The ego based or like,
yeah, or because I actually care. It's just, yeah. So there's a part of it where I'm like, I don't believe it works because I considered it for a second. I was like, well, maybe like, I don't know. But then I was like, there's no way you can go into a relationship like this because it's just, I mean, some people they can, but it's just,
Yeah.
I don't understand how there wouldn't be competition because that's like insane. Like, it's fun if you're the person who has the multiple people,
Mm.
obviously. If you're on that side, because then you're like, oh, everyone loves me.
I just think of it as like, so like I train my dogs. And anytime I train them together, there becomes a competition over food, right? So now you're competing over emotions with another human being who can actually express that.
Exactly.
So if you take like animal psychology and you parlay it into humans, right? Like
it's not that different in general. And a lot of people think they're like, no, I can overcome jealousy and just like be normal. Like, no, if you're having a fight with one of them, obviously you're going to go to the other one, tell them everything that's going on, and they're going to be like, oh, so sorry that's happened. Like, oh, no, that's crazy.
I think so when I got divorced, I like considered the idea. I was like, what if open relationships work? Like, I was like, that doesn't seem like it's ever been my thing, but like I've had friends, I've had conversations where I'm like, I wonder if that could work for me. I never thoroughly explored it, but having those like in-depth conversations with people, I think it does work for some people. But the amount of communication that requires like exhausts me to think about, where I'm like, I don't think I could support that. Like, it's too much, where like some people are like skilled at it and developed it and practiced it and like are very introspective and like, yes, I'm jealous, but like that's my responsibility. But I think it takes like practice work.
There's
and
so much communication.
And I struggle with like, I work to be good at communication already. And I'm like, maybe I'll just stick with one.
Yeah. But the thought of like, oh, I'm going to text him and be like, oh, I'm crying right now. Can we hang out? Oh, sorry, I'm hanging out with the other one. Like, no, oh,
Like,
sorry, this is their day. Like, that's what really hit me, because I was like,
okay,
what
yeah,
if I needed them for something? And they're like, oh, sorry, I'm on a date. Huh?
Yeah.
I think that was emotionally taxing for him, like having to support two women.
I
Because I'm
tried
like, a
to
relationship's
convince
hard
him.
enough, right?
Yeah.
And now you're supporting two other people, or even let alone a group of people.
But he convinced himself it's easier because then it's the instant gratification.
I'm so mind blown because I'm
It's-
like, I feel like it'd be harder.
Wait,
That's what I would
thought it was
tell him.
easier?
I'm in the same camp. I don't know how you do it. Like,
No, he said, yeah, it would be easier because then there's not one person having to, and then
but then you have to put in double the effort.
Yeah,
That's what
and
I would
learn double the
say.
things and work on double the communication.
And then
The
if they're
logic
both-
might be
God.
flawed there. I don't
It's a
know.
no for me,
If
dog.
they're
That's
both
what-
mad or they're both crying, now you got double the tears or double the anger. Like,
yeah,
You're
but
just-
that's what I said. I'm like, what if they both break up with you in the same month? Then you have double the heartbreak.
Or would he not
Like-
care at all and you just go get two new people?
I have so many
That's
questions.
that's why I was like, there's
All right,
no
we
way
need
that
his
this is
name and his
easier.
number. We gotta bring him on.
Can you please call in?
Tell us who.
Right?
Here, we
Tell
gotta
us
call him
what's
right
going
now.
on.
Let's do this.
That's hilarious.
Also, I'm gonna step away. My leg is giving me a lot of trouble. I'm gonna step away for a couple minutes. Are
No
you
worries.
good
I got
handling
it.
Things for a
I
second?
got it.
Okay, I'll be back.
We'll jump
Amanda
right
Payne
into a
is
sex
real
question.
bitch.
She's just trying to get out of following up, Aaron. That's all.
Doing all the work. How dare you? Next question, guys. Is sex a need for a happy and fulfilling life?
Yes.
Here, we'll all get closer to the mic a little bit.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's talk about it. Go ahead, Justin. What do you got? Why would it be a need for a happy and fulfilling life?
Because you need to have that physical touch. That's why. Like,
Yeah.
we all have to have this innate nature of physical touch, right? And like, how would you describe this? Give me a second. Let me think.
So you got time.
Yeah.
Anybody else can jump in on this too.
I don't know. Like, I think it's an important part to feel connected and close. And if there's no sex, then why am I in a relationship with you? And why don't I just go hang out with my friends?
Hmm.
Like, I think it's the added part. Like, I want to be friends with my partner, whoever it is, but I'm not going to have sex with my friends. Like my guy friends.
You heard it
I don't
here.
know if that makes sense.
Great T-shirt idea. I'm just waiting. I don't have sex with my friends. What about you, Mahaley?
I personally think yes, it is also a very important like part of the relationship. I don't think it's everything because like I could be sexually attracted to you, but then I see your personality. I'm like, oh, you know, that kind of makes me a little less. So I don't know, balance, I guess, with everything.
Sure.
I think I'm trying to figure it out. I think technically yes. The answer is yes, but I don't. At the beginning of this year, I was like, no, nobody needs it. But I would say yes.
Well, I'm sure it can be super individualistic too. Like I do know, I would say like technically happy couples that really don't have a lot of sex anymore. They don't have a lot of sex drive for either person. I'm sure that can be a thing as well.
How do they meet that intimacy? Because I think that's the thing with sex, right? Sex is like an intimate act.
Well, I think that intimacy can be achieved in a lot of different ways. I think you can be like, conversationally intimate with someone, like share, important details about your life. I think like emotional intimacy is also like a really important thing as well. I would also make the argument that physical intimacy is super important for like 99% of people out there. But I think, in particular, when people start to age, as you get like, later and later in your life, like physical intimacy is probably not going to be as important as it was earlier in your relationship, and more like companionate love or like emotional intimacy kind of takes that place. So that's kind of how I view it. But
The same guy I was with at the beginning of this year for 4 months, we never had sex.
for
I
4
would-
months,
Yeah, but I would be there. I would stay overnight at least once or twice every single week. And it was just like the feeling of, because I'm super physical touch, super, super, super physical touch. But literally just sleeping in the same bed was everything. And
did you want something more physically?
No. And I told him in advance. I was just like, I'm not looking for anything like that. So if you are, and that's something that you want, like, just let me know. And
Seems like you communicated that pretty clearly.
That's awesome.
yeah. But he was like, no, I literally just like hanging out with you. I was
Wait, but
like,
this was one of the situationships or no?
this was the one I had for 4 months at the beginning of the
So
year.
were you guys like, you weren't dating though, or were you
No.
somewhere in between?
No, because he was the one who was polyamorous.
Oh, that one.
Same guy. Yeah.
Huh.
So it was like open. So we were hanging because we were friends, but then it was like we weren't friends.
So did physical intimacy ever escalate in that at all?
I mean, like we would make out.
Okay, but that's where it would stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I think if something's like communicated, I think that's like the baseline for any kind of relationship. And if two people are good with it, fucking fantastic. Like, that's awesome,
Yeah,
I think
being
that's
on the
great.
same page is important.
Yeah.
I think being upfront with like your actual desires in a relationship is super important. I think and we've talked about this before. The earlier you do that, I think the better.
Yeah, it saves a lot of
Don't
time.
waste people's time.
Yeah. And I kind of alluded to that at the beginning where I was like, do you want to have kids? Oh, you don't want to have kids?
Right.
See you later.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
'Cause,
something
like,
that's
I'm the
important for you.
opposite. I'm like, do you want to have kids? And they're like, yeah.
See ya.
Bye. Right. Like,
Because like you're saying, why are we going to waste each other's time if we're not on the same page?
I wish more people would be that honest. I really do.
yeah. I wonder if part of that comes with like, I don't know, we're all over 25, right? I wonder if part of that, I've been wondering if part of that comes with age. Because when I re-entered the world
We're
of
just
dating,
sick and tired of wasting time.
I was just like, I feel like it sounds very cliche to be like, I was tired of like games or whatever, but I just wasn't interested in that.
It's like
Because I
small
don't have
talk, right?
time.
Ugh.
Just skip it.
I'm like, yeah.
Games. I don't even know how to play the game.
Yeah,
So
and I'm
just
like, I'm someone who's always struggled to be direct, but that was one that came pretty naturally. Of like, this is what I'm looking for. Are you looking for that? Yes. Okay. Cool. No. Okay. Cool. Like, I don't think it's that difficult to communicate intention. Communication is very difficult, but like the intention piece of it, of like, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm here for. I feel like that one's a pretty straightforward thing.
That's why it's also important to know what you want. So like,
Absolutely,
just
I think that's
figuring
huge,
that out
right?
first is like, ooh,
Yeah,
that is a
before
plus,
you're
yes.
entering into
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, I think that's
Well, I
super
mean,
important.
I think that, dating a lot of people is a really important way, at least like not in every case, obviously, like if you know, that's fantastic. At least for me, like dating a lot of people was important in informing what I really liked about partners. That like when I met Megan, I was like, oh, this feels significantly different. Megan has a lot of the things that I've been looking for. And I knew like very early on that this was like someone that could have the potential of like, end up with. But I feel like that came out of dating a lot of other people that didn't work prior.
That's why I'm trying to date more, because I feel like I agree.
Yeah.
It does help.
Do you think it's necessary to date like a number of different kinds of people, or do you think
That's what I'm trying to
that you
figure
can come to that
out.
without that?
And I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, I don't either.
We're both
It's a
trying to figure it out,
question.
right? I don't know. Like, I didn't really think so, but in meeting more people, you can decipher what you like and what you don't like more, So that does help. Like, things I would never have thought about, like, nope, never gonna interact with a person like that again,
Yeah.
But I don't think you really need to date people like also I'm very huge on like self growth and self focus.
Yeah,
sure.
Like, if you focus on yourself, you will bring the right people to you and things like that. So yeah.
I think we've talked about that a lot. Like even less like investing in yourself makes you a better, happier person, period. And also tends to make you more attractive to other people. So it's kind of like it's a both.
Well, I think that's one thing like the red pill community gets really right, which is, self-improvement, trying to be the best version of yourself for other people. Like that's something that they knock out of the park.
That piece, absolutely.
Yeah, that one piece.
Yeah, I very much agree with
after
that.
that though.
Yeah, I mean, I think it turns into like a very adversarial. Do you guys know what red pill is by chance? Relatively speaking, it's more of like a return to like traditional gender roles. I'm like really simplifying it here. It's more than that. But I think that it's, like one of the big things that like, they push out there is like, get in fantastic shape, try to do something entrepreneurial to some degree. That's all fantastic.
Invest in yourself
Yeah.
first.
Invest in yourself first. Be the best version of you. That's awesome. Where I think they end up going wrong later is it becomes like this, like, women are out to get you. They're very adversarial. Like they're like, what's a woman going to do to me? And I think that can be super harmful for how we view potential partners. But yeah, I'll keep it right there for now.
Also, thank you for taking over the conversation there for a second.
Welcome back, Joe.
Thank you. I posted a short video about this earlier today, but I'm trying like a new kind of prosthetic socket. I've been really jazzed about the fact that I was like, I can wear jeans again because like the way it disconnects is super easy. So I wore jeans tonight for the first time in like forever. But then I realized I can't take off all the other pieces that are uncomfortable, so that makes that point
That's
entirely
okay.
invalid. So.
I'm getting over a cold, so I've been leaving to blow my nose so I don't blow out the speaker on the mic.
I'm sure everyone on audio appreciates that.
I want to talk about promiscuity here for a second. Oh, charged reaction already. What do you guys think about promiscuity? How much is it impacting the current dating world? We'll say for like anyone 18 to 30. Is it a big deal? Is it a problem?
Is
like,
it a
how
good
do you,
thing? Is
good
it a
thing, bad thing? How do you view promiscuity and like how it's impacting the dating world right now? And it's a loaded question. It's a big question. So. Oh wait, okay. Go ahead. Anybody can jump in.
Okay, let's see. I got this.
Okay.
I don't know. When you asked that question, I thought about somebody was like, the more you can see a woman's skin, the less like that's how you know what she'll want or like what she'll do. Like, and that's just so interesting to me. I don't know. I used to be very like covered up, and now I dress how I want to dress. Yeah. And I don't think I've really seen a difference per se. Like, I don't know. I hope it wouldn't. Like, women should be able to, I guess I'm a who, like, do whatever they want. Men can wear whatever they want. Crop top, men in crop tops, bring it back. Yeah.
Here for the midriff.
I've been pushing for jujitsu rash guards to be crop tops for like a year now. I'm just saying.
No.
All right.
Why are you being a hater,
That out
Joe?
there.
Being a hater.
I am being a hater. I'm sorry, boys. I'm
So
sorry.
just being your authentic version of yourself. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, and like clothing is such a way to express yourself too. Like you just shouldn't judge. There's this girl that comes into my dispensary. Every single time she's dressed differently, and like she can be provocative sometimes. And there's just like this old man that came in and was just judging her hardcore and like that's not safe for her and stuff like that. And it's sad that you do have to think that, but like it should be safe for her.
So you're talking about like dressing promiscuously specifically.
Yes, that is what I'm thinking about right now.
Got it.
Interesting.
So you don't have a problem with like just wear what you want, basically.
Personally.
Does anyone have an issue with someone like showing, I guess, like more skin?
Honestly, I think it's to each their own.
Yeah, I
I mean,
completely
Really,
agree.
It's one of those things where it's 2023. Like we're not living in the 1800s where showing wrist gets you in trouble.
Yeah.
Like,
God.
Shoulders and stuff.
put it away, Joe.
Oh.
But no, it's one of those things where like we need to progress as a civilization forward.
Yeah.
And sitting here like that old man, he's thinking about it in a different way, and he's judging her based off of safety. That's a whole different ballgame, which I understand that, but there shouldn't be judging around the way she's dressing. Like if that's how she wants to dress, then that's the way she's dressing.
Yeah, the safety element is something that actually comes up a lot, I would say, in like certain communities about that. I will say, like, if you're going down Skid Row or something like that, maybe don't wear like something promiscuous because it could get you into like trouble like physically. But like we're talking about like a generally like safe area, people being able to wear what they want, a little bit different.
And go ahead, Sam.
Oh, no, good.
I was just gonna say, someone in the chat brought up a good question of like, what do you mean by promiscuity? I think that's actually a valid question because this word gets thrown around a lot. When you think of that word, what do you think of?
I think it's general. Like, so the way that I was asking, although like you talking about like promiscuous dress was a very interesting offshoot. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Got you.
But I was generally talking about, you know, number of sexual partners and like being more like casual. So, and generally, like the way that I would define promiscuity is like a more casual nature about who you're sleeping with, maybe outside of a committed relationship.
Oh, no. Like, I will. Red flag right there if you ask me, like, if you feel some type of way about how many people I've slept with, you know? Because I'm sure you probably slept with more people than me. And I don't care. Like,
Body counts, I never respond when people ask about
Has anyone
body
ever,
counts.
this is for the women at the table, has anyone ever asked you like your body?
Absolutely.
Really?
All
like
the
on a
time.
date?
All
Wait,
the
like on a
time.
date?
For women, especially.
Wait, on a date? Has someone ever asked you that?
Just in general.
yeah, both.
Like if you're, like, because I'm online a lot too, people just like throw it around. They're like, oh, how many of you? And I'm just like, no.
I think there's like a current obsession with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, you want to say something?
I don't think I've ever had anyone ask me like in it. The internet's a different place, right? But like in real life, I don't think I have. And if I did, I'd be like, interesting question. Like, why are you asking that? Probably before
The context would be very important.
Yeah,
there.
right. Like, and like the established level of trust. And I don't think I've known I hate the word body count, but like the number of sexual partners that anyone I've actually dated has had. Yeah, I don't think I've ever asked that. So I'm like, I don't care. Period. Like,
Well, to play. Oh, go ahead. Sid.
Oh, no, I was gonna say, I think it's kind of a dumb thing to
Right?
care about.
I think so too.
Like,
Yeah, does it even matter?
Well, let me
to a
play
lot of people, it
devil's
does.
advocate here for a moment. I'm generally in agreement with the entire panel and Joe here, but something we talked about on one of the last podcasts that we had was a lot of people want to match up like what sex means to them with a potential partner. I would say that sex probably means something different for like, you know, if I've had 100 sexual partners, sex probably means something different for me than someone that's a virgin. And matching that up I think is potentially a very important thing. That's not to judge anyone that has a higher like sexual count. But I think it's like, it can be an important thing in terms of matching what sex means to a particular couple.
I feel like you could do that without asking
That's
a
what
body
I'm
count
saying.
as well, though, too, you know?
Because wouldn't you feel like it would breed insecurity? Of like, if I came up and I was like, Joe, how many people have you slept with?
Yeah.
And then like we're on date number 3.
Right?
And then now I'm like, oh, and then I go home thinking like, oh, Joe's been with 12 people.
Yeah.
And I've been with 3. What if I'm not experienced enough for her? What if I'm this? What if like, then you start comparing and then you end up in a vicious cycle.
I do think
I think that's-
comparison,
yeah.
I do think comparison, especially with men, is a very like typical thing. I think a lot of men, and I hate to use the word insecure because I don't really think it's that exactly.
Yeah.
I just think that a lot of men don't know how to deal with comparison when it comes to like another man being like intimate with another woman that they're looking to go after in some way for like a relationship. I'm not sure there's like a good way to get out of that, but I think like being comfortable with yourself, like if I'm a single person again and I'm not married, like I really don't care about prior partners generally, unless we're talking about like safety, like STD stuff like that,
Yeah.
different kind of thing. But if safety is not a concern, I don't know if I care about who someone's been with because I feel like I'm a fucking baller in so many ways. I just don't give a
I
fuck.
won.
There you go.
Well, I just like, I really like who I am as a person. I'm super comfortable. I don't give a fuck about anybody else in terms of like who
And-
someone's been with. I just don't care.
It's like in the past, anyways. What are you going to do about it? You know? I don't know.
Judge you really hard.
Yeah, that's like
Yeah.
That
like
seems to be
I
the
feel
thing.
like it's just a really weird, insecure thing. Like you, like we've all been. It's just weird. Like
Yeah.
why does it matter?
I think it's go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. Like I said, I've never asked literally anyone. I think maybe when I was like, maybe in like my first relationship, I asked that question. I was like, 19.
I thought you were gonna say something different. I was like, never mind, keep going.
But it's just something that I think genuinely, doesn't matter to me. But a lot of they like to call it the manosphere, like red pill communities, things like that. There's this big push for it being like determining of someone's value, and I'll say someone's, but I think they mean women's value. Like there's no judgment in those communities towards dudes who have slept with a lot of
because
women.
men and women are different.
Yeah, that's
Joe.
right. They're just different.
Yeah. How can you shame a man for like, their innate biological desire? Like,
yeah,
how
it's not
could
even
you?
cheating if a guy sleeps with another woman. That's
No,
just
it's
how
like,
men
well,
are.
wait, what did
That's
Pearl
they say?
Just shaking a hand or
Oh, God,
something? Just like
yeah,
shaking
yeah.
hands for men? Oh, it's like, yeah, just a handshake.
Yeah, okay.
I'm pretty sure she said that.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on it.
Aw.
Don't quote me on it in case I'm going to get messed up here. But
Yeah,
something
I mean-
ridiculous like that.
Yeah, and I think it's really unfortunate because it also plays into like as I've been listening to all of these podcasts, right? In the dating world, there's a lot of focus on that.
Datosphere.
The datosphere. We should coin that term.
Sure.
It's not the manosphere, it's the datosphere.
Not the eroticosphere. That's something different.
Well, yeah.
No, sorry. Keep going, Joe.
But I was raised super conservative Christian where like your entire value as a woman was your virginity, like period, end of story. Like that's who you were as a person. And I feel like there's almost this push to return to that where like there's this purity element that I think is extremely concerning and weird. But I would be interested to talk to people who do think that way, who like really care about that and like ask why. But yeah, that's what I had on that.
I used to be in the exact same boat.
Yeah.
And I was actually I went out with my mom before this and I told her I was going to come to this.
Yeah.
We're happy to have you.
We got into a heated conversation
Oh, goodness, yeah.
on that specifically
Interesting.
because same thing, very religious. But I told her like the fault in it. I'm like, that is why I ended up with my last ex
Yes.
was because of this like guiding to just get married, just get hurry before
so that
you
you can have
mess
sex
up and
within
you're not.
marriage and you'll be
And
you'll
she
do it
was
the
like,
right
well,
way.
then why are you just getting married so you can have sex? I'm like, that's the point.
Yeah.
That's what's so disgusting.
That's what
like
we were taught.
that was what I did, and I'm like, that's what one of the main factors as to why it like was horrible.
Yeah.
because I went in and I was just like, I just don't want to do anything wrong.
Yeah, seriously.
Terrified of judgment and shame, and so it was like, oh wow, I legally bound my soul to someone else because of shame and guilt and fear. And so there, just the fact that people like think like that is sad.
I think
scary.
it's sad too. I think you're depriving yourself out of a lot of life by looking at people in such a one-dimensional way. And I very much agree. Like it's the shame and judgment thing.
Well, I think shame and judgment is a big part of the red pill community.
Well, I think it's a way to control people.
We've talked about it a bunch.
We have
Shame on
indeed.
you, Joe.
Yeah.
Shame.
Shame. Start
my little
chanting.
bell.
Yeah.
So I got another question for you guys. Has anyone heard of the word hypergamy?
I mean,
I've got the definition
I've
here.
heard of it.
Okay, it is a
but
funny sounding
It's
word,
okay.
isn't
It's
it?
a super weird one. So I'm going to define it for you guys, and then we're going to talk about it. Because once I define it, you guys will understand it. I had to look up the definition myself because I wasn't entirely sure how it was being used. So hypergamy is a term used in social science for the act or practice of a person dating or marrying a spouse of a higher caste, social status, or sexual capital than themselves. So kind of like marrying up. And a lot of like the red pill world generally describes women as trying to marry up all the time.
And trade
Listen,
up.
And trading up
I'll be the
too.
first to say I married up. I'll put that out there.
So wait,
Yeah.
is that hypogamy? Wait, what was the other one?
No.
Wait, what was it called?
Hypogamy.
For the other
I think
person.
I'm saying that
For his
right.
wife.
Is when someone lowers their
Marries
standards.
down.
So that'd be your
Marries
soon-to-be
down,
wife.
marries
No,
down.
no, just kidding.
Yeah.
So do you think that women in particular like are always looking to date up in either like social status or like sexual capital?
I definitely have had friends, even just recently, who have like told me, oh man, I just met this guy and he wants to go on a date with me, but he does this and he does this. And he's like super well off and he's only this old. And I just feel like I'm not good enough for him. And I'm like,
Oh, interesting.
holy. And I just like go through like boosting. I'm like, bro, you don't even know like, you don't even know anything like about him as a person. All
Yeah.
you know is that he could be really lame.
Yeah.
He could be so lame and you're so not lame. Like the fact that in that case, it's like personality and your own character is diminished to not having value in that case is like insane to me. Like the fact that marrying up means that like maybe they just have a lot more money or maybe they're just a lot more experienced, but it's like has nothing to do with like the human side of it of like, oh, are they actually a really awesome person with great character? It's just like, oh, this is marrying up, is that it's not normally connected to character qualities.
Fair.
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, I wonder if that's the belief is just rooted in people being misinformed, and then all those videos that get put out, like all these girls, like he needs to make 300,000 because that's
Right.
average. Like
It's like
my sister in
6
Christ.
foot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My sister in Christ.
Actually, that's a fantastic segue into my next question for everybody.
Way to go, Sid.
Sid, are you 6 foot? That's his next question.
So I'm gonna ask the women. I'm gonna ask the women on the panel first. Do you have a financial requirement from someone you're looking to have be in a long-term relationship? Do they have to make X number of dollars a year for you, or do you care?
For me personally, no, because like I'm out here still trying to just live my life and figure things out, you know? So how can I expect you to be all put together with like the money and financial situations if I'm not, you know?
If you were like more put together later, like a year from now, you've got everything all figured out to some degree, would you expect a similar level from like the person you're looking to be with?
The same level would be nice, you know?
So
but
matching yourself.
yes. Essentially, I would think that's how I would like to go about it. But I wouldn't judge you if you were, you know, a little less than. But as long as you have like motivation and things that you want to do, like you're on the right track to get to there, then that's cool.
Pandy, what do you think?
That was a great answer. What a lovely answer. Yeah, it doesn't matter to me how much money they're making or anything like that. I don't know. It's like it's hard enough to find someone cool enough to date, let alone like, and you have to have so much money. I need it. Like,
cash.
yeah, like my last relationship, we didn't ever have any money.
Yeah.
And it like, you know, it's like not necessary for a happy relationship at all. And I think it's more important for them to be happy in what they're doing
Yeah.
and feel like successful in what they're doing rather than successful on a worldly stand.
I feel like we have the most reasonable panel.
Oh, everyone's
existence.
fantastic.
I mean, yes, they need so much money.
$1 million a year.
Well, I think, Sid, what you said, I think that's really accurate about like there will be videos that'll go around of women saying things like that. Like, you know, my standards are $300,000 a year or more. And I think those are, I would venture, pretty far outliers, generally speaking, because most actual people, I would say all actual people that I know, anecdotal, but like don't care about that as long as someone like has motivation and passion for what they're doing. Because I think those are qualities that speak to who someone is.
I think beyond that too, with those videos, what are you bringing to the table
Absolutely.
for my $300,000? Because I'm earning that, you're not. So I make $300,000, but you don't.
Yeah.
So what are you bringing to the table that I should invest my $300,000 into you?
Interesting. What would you want that answer to be?
Well, you have to bring something to the table.
Right. So like
like
a similar amount of money or
no,
like
it wouldn't even be money.
yeah.
It would just be, do you mesh with that person? Do you
Right.
fit?
Yeah.
But if this is solely, you see that I have $300,000.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I completely agree with
this
that.
is why you're coming for me. I don't want to be a part of that.
It's like gold digger.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not going to be sustainable.
For the men at the table, do you care if your female partner works?
No, I mean, kind of the same. I just want them to be nice to me and be
Just love me, please.
just love me. Just be nice and like kind of the same. Like have something you're passionate about.
Yes.
Like don't just sit at home and just watch TV all
Wait
day.
for them to text
and
you
then
Have
back.
some drive.
Yeah, do something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What about you, Justin?
I mean, I agree. I think
Just be nice.
just
Just be nice to Justin.
even beyond being nice, right? Like
I would hope someone's being nice to you.
I
do.
have terrible decisions. I make terrible decisions.
Sorry, Justin. I cut you
you're
off.
good. You're good. But no, like even if you want to, right? Like Kylie and I joke about it all the time. So I'm in school to get my nurse practitioner. And I jokingly tell her, I'm like, you ready to be a stay-at-home mom? And she's like, dude, I'm gonna keep working as long as I can. And she's like, even when we have kids, I'll be part-time. And I'm like, all right, that's what makes you happy.
Career is important to her.
Yeah. Like, she's worked hard to get her nursing license. She's worked hard to become a charge nurse. She's worked hard to get where she's at. And it's one of those things that who am I to take that from her? I mean, you know, and it's we're getting married on Saturday. Prime example of this.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, is she changing her last name? And I'm like, no. And they're like, what do you mean? And everybody's like appalled about the name change. And I'm like,
Really?
dude, her nursing license has her last name on it, not mine. She worked her, we can cuss now. She worked her ass off. I had to like
She worked her
pause.
rear end off.
I was like, hold on.
Her booty off.
I thought we were on a red pill podcast. No, but no, she like worked super hard for that license, right? So who am I to come in and be like, hey, I want you to change this, this, and this for me?
Sure.
And vice versa. And then we've even had the conversation where she's like, why don't you take my last name? Let's do it unorthodox. And I'm like, I'm down. Because I'm like, I don't care. Like for me, it's like, all right, I pay my $200 to the state. I get my license changed. It's no big deal.
I feel like when I heard people talk about this, the joke was, well, I don't want to get rid of my name. Like my dad gave it to me or something like that.
It was a
But
gift from my father.
Yeah, that's what it was. I always love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I'm like, I don't know. I mean, like Sid said, you know, if you find something you're happy about or passionate about, why not ride with it?
Yeah. I think that, I mean, yeah, I think that's a very healthy way of looking at things, because if two people are like invested in themselves and the other person, I'm not an expert, but I would venture that would lead to a better outcome.
You would think.
One would hope.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Aaron, how do you feel about Megan working?
Oh, I think it's fantastic. I think I can't speak. Megan's off screen right now. She doesn't have a mic. You know, I think like I'm so proud of Megan. Like for like she crushes it at her job. Like continually like an all-star of that team. And it's cool to be able to see her succeed in something like that. So I think it's incredible. You know, there was a time when she like used to work for our YouTube channel too. And I kind of asked her at one point, I was like, you know, are you like being fulfilled by like working for my channel? You know, like it was fine. But I think she's really found like her calling, at least like currently, like who knows, it could change like a couple of years from now. She might want to get out or something. Totally fine. But I think watching her succeed has been like one of the coolest things of like my entire life with her. So I love it.
sweet.
She's also awing from off camera.
You get brownie points, high five.
Yeah.
What other questions do you have, Joe?
So this is one that we've had many discussions about, the word loyalty. Did you ask that when I was on?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Yeah. What do you want loyalty in a relationship, and what does loyalty look like to you?
What do you define as
Yeah,
loyalty?
I feel like
What
it's kind
do
of a
you
loaded
define as
question
loyal
right
now?
now.
Yeah, no, I think it is. I mean, I'll just put my cards on the table. I think the word loyalty mostly just gets abused by people, honestly. I think like commitment to someone, being like, I'm not gonna, you know, see other people, be with other people, like that could be called loyalty, but I feel like oftentimes it's used to be like, to make people overlook things that aren't good for them. Like, but you have to be loyal to me. Like, yeah, maybe I treat you like shit, but you said you'd be here, so you have to be loyal. So that's my kind of jaded perspective on the word. And I'm open to that changing, because I know that
Sure.
loyalty is a value that's like held as a very good thing in our society. And I kind of hate it. I kind of hate that term. And I'm open to my mind being changed.
Yeah, and like for me too, I'm kind of in the same boat where loyalty, I feel like, is something where maybe you've known someone for maybe a longer period of time, and it's causing you to like make a decision that wouldn't be in your best interest because of that longevity with someone else. And I think that can be kind of dangerous. Like, you know, there are, I guess, like courtesies that I'll give like close or long-term friends. Like maybe I'll think about a particular situation longer, but that's about like the end of what loyalty is. Like, you know, if Joe murdered somebody, I I'd probably have to like cut the friendship in half, you know.
You'd murder our friendship if I murdered someone.
Yeah, I guess the way that I said it was kind of weird. I don't know. I feel like you should always be making the best decision for yourself at that time, and weighing like what a particular relationship means. You know, if a relationship is worth more than like a particular moment. Like this is actually a good example too. Like, you know, if someone were to cheat on you, like let's say one time in like a, you know, made a bad decision, cheated on you once, but you've been together for 30 years. Maybe like loyalty means like you're looking at the entirety of that relationship and weighing whether or not that one, you know, bad night or whatever you want to call it is worth like 30 years going goodbye. And I'm not saying one way or the other, but I think the calculus just like has to be a little bit different. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, I kind of agree with you, but I also think that it extends past when the relationship is dead. Like,
Oh, really?
like if I were to tell somebody that I dated something very personal that is like very close to me, and then the relationship ends and they go out and tell everybody else, like I would
Yeah.
never do that.
Yeah, right.
Like if I was dating somebody and they told me their darkest secret, I wouldn't be like, they broke my heart, so fuck them.
So
I
now
never got that
everybody
sense from
gets
you.
to know.
everybody's- I think that's a very good point.
But
Yes.
like kind of like you said, like I think that it's been abused to the point where like you need to be loyal to me.
Yeah.
Like
It seems so. I think the way that it's used is so possessive sometimes.
yeah, it's gross.
Yeah, I don't like
And
it.
what you said about maybe having to like compromise yourself in order to be loyal to a person, I never thought about that before. It's not cool. You
Yeah.
know, you should always stay true to yourself. So
Pandy, what do you think?
I think when it comes to loyalty, I've always been a very, I don't want to say the word competitive, but in a sense, I always stayed until like the very end
Oh, I
for
get
all
that.
my relationships, like until it was unbearable to the point where they're like threatening me or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
I
like
guess that
even,
kind of ties into loyalty for sure.
yeah, or
Yeah.
even just like my constant like forgiveness. Having a friend for so long is so much more like valuable to me than trying to like sever it and start with someone brand new.
Yeah.
Because it's just like so painful after a while to constantly like be sifting through people. And it's like, oh man, I have to cut out one more person who like I could actually connect with because of one thing, like the guy with the concert.
Yeah.
It was like
That's a crazy story about it. Sorry, I'm
It
still like
was.
processing that.
it was insane. But at the end of it, I was like, dude, this person has been such a good friend for the past 2 years. Like, is it really worth being so jaded and resentful over one like stupid time? For me, no, because I've lost so many friends in general just because
Well,
people
you made a
go, like,
decision based on the calculus of your time together. I get that.
yeah. So like similar to what you were saying, it's like weighing it. And
Yeah.
I'm always just like, I will push until they're the ones who let go. To an extent sometimes, unless it's really, really negative in my life and just like hurtful to me.
Do you
Got it.
think that I find myself to be a very similar kind of person? Do you think that that has like enabled your life in a positive way overall or in a negative one?
It's made me a better person
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
in a lot of ways because I'm just not someone who's willing to give up based off of like one little thing. It's just learning how to love people regardless of like whatever is going on with them is a really hard thing to do. And I just feel like it's a really beneficial challenge for anyone to try instead of just being like, oh man, no, like just giving up.
Yeah, it seems like you have a lot of grace for people in their shortcomings or failings.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like people are more valuable than just like,
A singular
oh
event.
man, yeah, like you don't do anything for me. Like, oh, I don't get anything from you. Like that used to not bother me. I know now that I have boundaries, like there should be give and take always,
Yeah.
but sometimes there are people in your life for a short amount of time who just need to be loved and know that they're loved and cared about, even if it's just for like a little moment or a little hangout. It's just like that's so important to me.
What a
I guess.
positive outlook on the world.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
Justin, any thoughts on loyalty?
No isn't acceptable.
Oh, yeah, you don't have to.
I mean, I think you have to remain an individual regardless.
Yeah.
You know, I think if you know something's not right or it's not right for you per se, then you have to be willing to end that and be quote unquote disloyal and be like, look, I'm done, I'm out. So I'm like, I don't know. I think you have to know what your boundaries are.
Sure.
I mean, when it comes to like relationships, right? I'm a very logical person when it comes to looking at these things, and I come from it from like an analytical perspective of like, okay, you've done me wrong this many times and I've forgiven you this many times, but you keep doing me wrong. Like now it's just pattern recognition.
Right.
So like, yeah, I'm out, I'm done. I don't care if this has been a 15-year friendship or a 10-year relationship or whatever it is. One of those things where it's like, you know, I'm out, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think you have to know what your own boundaries are for that. And like with what you were talking about, I feel like that's the thing that I always struggle with, because I was raised, and I think naturally I'm a pretty like I want to give people grace. Like I want to give people compassion and understanding. I want the same thing, right? But it's been a process of being like, okay, where is that harming me? Like, how do I bring that close enough where I can still extend that without completely fucking myself over or allowing someone to walk all over me? And like, that's a learning process.
I've got a more lighthearted question. I know we seriously. We had to like start with the light stuff, move to the serious stuff. If somebody you were dating or married with told you to get rid of your Instagram account, would that be a red flag in any way, or would you be happy to do it? Happy to do it.
Really?
Oh, I hate social media.
Oh, okay.
So more from like you hate social media, you
You're
don't
like,
care.
finally a reason to let it go.
Like,
Yeah.
If it weren't for you and Joe, I wouldn't even have a YouTube. That's it, man.
We'll put the link in the description if
Yes,
you
we
want
will.
it. If you want it.
But yeah.
Amazing dog videos.
Yes, accurate.
But yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I can't stand social media. So if
It's
somebody
more of like a general hatred of like the planet. Yeah, I get that. I get that.
For me personally, I'm a model, so like I use my social media for like
Sure.
that and nothing really else. But like, I guess if I wasn't, social media, all I do is the memes and the videos too. So I really wouldn't care that much either.
Well, let me ask you this. So, do you get approached on Instagram a lot from men?
Occasionally, sometimes.
How does that normally go?
No response.
No response. You just cut 'em off.
Leave you in the request, yes.
So
or
I think the
whatever.
argument from like why there are some men that might want like women to get rid of their Instagram account is like, well, you're constantly being hit up by men, and that's bad for him, I guess.
Yeah, that's where the insecurities and stuff and like.
Amen.
I would agree.
I'm
I
sorry.
guess my argument to that would be, shouldn't you have enough respect for your partner that they're going to do the right thing,
The
and enough trust within
You
your
would
partner
think
in
so.
a relationship? You know what I mean? Like,
No,
Yeah.
I do know what you mean. I absolutely
You know?
agree.
like you have your Instagram, but hey, I'm going to trust you enough, and I'm going to respect you enough that you handle that on your own. I don't need to intervene.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sid.
Oh, no, I was gonna say that like we were talking about earlier. Like if you're gonna cheat, you're gonna cheat.
Yep.
So why am I trying to put you in this little box?
Yeah, I think we talked about this earlier. Yeah, if you're trying to moderate someone's behavior, I just don't think that's going to be a recipe for like a successful relationship long term. I think it can feel that way. Like, oh, I don't want you to go to bars. Like if I get rid of Instagram, men can't contact you. Or like, don't go to clubs with your female friends.
That's the thing.
Yeah, I feel like-
always find you.
I feel like men are pretty resilient in that sense. But,
You sound like Liam Neeson. I will find you.
It's true.
but I think it's a recipe for disaster generally for like men to try to control women's lives and vice versa too.
And
This
vice
goes
versa.
this goes both ways.
Yeah, absolutely, it does.
But at any time, if something your partner is doing that makes you feel uncomfortable to the point where like you can't cope with that, maybe it's time to leave that relationship too, which is also totally fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
If you're super
Or talk
uncomfortable,
about it.
yeah,
Have
we're
a
talking
Maybe
about
start with that.
sorry.
Probably a good
I was
step.
getting to like the end of it. Yeah.
Like, I
no
feel
conversation.
wrong.
Okay.
We're done.
Aaron's like, Megan, we're done. This is over. We're done even talking.
Oh my Lanza. I feel like Snapchat is a worse
Oh, Snapchat's a
Snapchat.
train
worse
wreck.
app for
Snapchat
someone to
has the
have.
very specific
then-
connotation. to it,
Exactly.
I think.
Wait,
I
what's
feel
that
like
connotation? Huh?
Like strictly
Sending
sexual.
nudes.
Yes.
Sending nudes.
Yes.
Is that what
Yeah.
you guys see Snapchat as nowadays?
That's what I grew up with. Snapchat.
It's
My partner
and when you're
deletes
older,
Snapchat.
it's like
Megan's
I can
like,
say-
I
I can
love
say-
Snapchat. It's the best.
maybe I'm wrong, but I still have Snapchat to talk to my friends with kids. But
Yeah.
like before then, it was to talk to women, and then my message gets deleted.
Yeah.
You wanted no paper
Yes.
trail.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what Snapchat was like built for. Yeah, so that's like the connotation is
Yeah.
that
That's what I originally
Snapchat
knew
is
it
like
as.
worse than Instagram.
Yeah, Snapchat's the worst.
that's what I thought.
Does it show you if somebody screenshots your stuff?
Yes.
Yes.
But there's
Yes.
apps that you can look
Yeah,
at it.
I think I was aware of that as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
Everything,
that makes
yes.
sense. Okay.
Who would have thought?
Who'd have thunk it?
Innovation.
This is not really a dating question. Are there any apps? Like, are you guys on Facebook still?
No.
Are most people on Facebook?
I mean, I am.
No,
I am too.
yes.
Yeah, I
and
gotta hold out. Yeah.
No, I'm just curious because I feel like people are aging out of Facebook for a
Yeah.
particular. I don't know. Just curious.
I think
Random
they are.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I haven't been on it in
absolutely
a
are.
while.
Well, isn't there like a Facebook dating app? There
Yes,
is, isn't
there
there?
is.
Yeah,
right.
Shaylee, who was on our first podcast,
Just
met
seems
her,
like it's geared for like 60-year-old people at that point. Like, who's? I'd be so curious to look at
Fun
their
fact.
age
Craigslist.
demographics.
As a previous
It's-
adult ER nurse, the highest STD rates are 60+ year olds.
Oh man.
What?
I feel like I could have gone my
Learn
entire
something.
life
Yeah, man.
without hearing that, and
Just
I
saying.
would have been okay.
I
I'm
just
sorry.
need to know.
Just saying, I gave a lot of Vasiclavir out to Mima.
Oh, okay.
Like, all right,
oh,
Mima.
man.
Nursing homes. Gross.
Yep.
I've actually heard that before, but boy, to be hit in the face with it again, that's something special.
So I've got 2 more questions. We're coming up on we're a little over 2 hours. Everyone.
Yeah.
Does anyone need any more water? Anything?
No.
Feeling good?
Megan can throw
You're
water at
feeling
you
okay?
from off
Decent?
screen.
Still, Aaron, are you okay?
Oh yeah, I'm doing
Okay.
great.
All right, cool.
I think my nose stopped running.
Okay.
Generally. I'm so sorry, by the way, chat, for the sniffing. I'm trying my best. I had tea here in my fuck you, I'm knitting.
Yeah.
Fuck off, I'm knitting.
Fuck off, I'm knitting. It's such
Yeah,
a
that's
great mug.
Megan's mug, but I drink out of it proudly.
This is very off topic. You guys got very good mugs. I've been looking at the owl mug.
Yeah, I have
repetitively.
to.
Oh yeah, and
Oh yeah,
they're great. Hold on, can I show that to the? Yeah. This is the.
this is a
owl
legit mug. Where did you get this?
That's so fucking cool.
Java House in Iowa
It's
City.
like hefty and it feels safe to hold.
Safe?
You were right.
What does an
Right?
what does an
Looks
unsafe
quality.
mug feel like?
Too small.
Too small.
Too small.
Yeah.
2 gulps in, you're like, now I gotta get back.
Yeah, God.
I mean,
I can't even trust the coffee.
I drink espresso,
man.
so it's always just 2 gulps.
I drink espresso out of a full-fledged coffee
Do you
cup. Yes,
really?
it gets
What
cold
do you
quickly.
do with the rest of it? Like the rest of the cup?
I just
It's
wash
just
it.
air.
Yeah.
It's like a bag of chips.
Like I want to hold the cup, Justin. Don't,
Oh, real quick,
are you
can I-
You know what I'm?
shaming-
You know what
I-
I'm getting
are you
you for
shaming
Christmas?
my mug
I'm getting
choices?
you those double thermal insulated espresso
Throw
cups.
them right back at you.
Actually, can I jump in for one quick question
yeah, please,
here? Coffee date, good or bad? We'll go on the table here on this one. Coffee date, good or bad? Would you do it? Would you not?
My therapist really wants me to, so I should probably do that.
Coffee date, okay.
Yeah.
please. Make your therapist happy. That's what we're all working for.
I'm always down for a coffee date.
Always good. Okay.
Yeah.
That's great, but I prefer boba.
Boba.
fair.
I don't drink coffee.
Boba.
That's the
Okay.
tapioca ones.
Boba.
I feel like I'm
Yes.
eating
Boba.
bubbles of snot.
So good.
I
You know
can't
what?
do it. I feel
No,
like
knock until you try it twice.
No, it's the first time
okay.
I did not like
I did
it.
only try it once. That's fair.
Twice.
Maybe it's because I have a stuffy nose and I'm like extra thinking about it.
Also, I don't drink coffee.
You can get a hot chocolate.
Yeah, that's what
Isn't
I'm saying.
half
I
the
don't
stuff at
drink coffee.
Starbucks like not really coffee anymore
I like
anyway?
frappuccinos, which is I like the smooth.
It's like straight sugar into my veins.
That's all
That's
I'm looking for.
Justina,
Oh yeah.
coffee dates.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
All
think.
right.
Because if they can't handle you when you're caffeinated,
Yes.
that's it, man.
You can't
Would,
handle
would
me
you
and
guys
my
ever do a
caffeine.
dinner for a first date, or is that too much?
That's what I normally do.
Yeah.
Dinner.
Yeah.
What
Like I
kind-
said, like I just go to places that I want to go,
Sid,
and I
Yeah.
bring somebody along.
I respect it.
from a financial perspective.
Oh, it's a terrible decision.
No, I know, but like, what kind of dinners are we talking? Like, are we talking like Texas
Steakhouse.
Roadhouse?
I've
Are
gone
we
to Texas.
talking,
I've gone
like-
to Texas Roadhouse. I've gone to. I can't
haven't
remember what
been
it's
there for
called.
long.
It's in Old Colorado City. Pavaccini. It's like an
Oh,
Italian
the
place.
Italian place.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
I've
that
been
place-
before.
Sid, that place is
Oh, it's
so.
I might
Oh
get
my
some noodles.
God.
That might be legit. I
Sid?
might do that.
As your future CPA, no more.
Oh, I have a
First date.
terrible diet. If we're being, I make terrible decisions all around. So
I have had a few people take me on dinner dates.
Fan of it?
Steakhouses, Too.
Would you
Yeah.
rather have the coffee
I
or the
love
fruit?
to eat, so I'm a foodie.
I love
That's
it.
the one for me.
Fair.
You'll
Fair.
most likely be able to get me out of the house if I'm eating food.
You're like, well,
Honestly.
at least there's food. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll show up.
What about it, Pandy?
What was the question?
It's okay. It's been a
I
long
feel
day.
like that. Like half the time, I'm like, yeah. What are we talking?
What do we think about dinner dates for the first date?
Oh, I prefer breakfast dates.
Ooh,
Absolutely.
Breakfast
Wait,
is the
breakfast
most
dates are like
great
great idea.
What about like IHOP at midnight?
Absolutely. Also,
Okay,
Yes.
I
if
did that when
you-
I was in
if
college a
you did
lot.
something awesome before and afterwards, like, hey, want to get? I have yes.
what about Waffle House?
Pancakes
I don't know. Waffle
do,
House
do I
is-
want to get in a fight?
There's a difference between Waffle House in Colorado and Waffle House in Florida.
You're not wrong.
Like
Okay.
the Waffle
fair.
House in Florida, like
I mean, if you're in Pueblo,
little
maybe
Tina-
it's
Pueblo.
different,
little
so.
Tina grew up in that Waffle House.
Pueblo
She's now
Waffle
in the back
House.
working the fryer.
Oh my god!
Waffle House here, you're gonna get stabbed.
Yeah.
Like,
That's true.
Yeah, but it's also a
I
feel
feel like you're handed. I feel like you're handed a chair when you walk into like Waffle. Here
if you can't
go.
fight, don't go to Waffle House.
is this why you do jujitsu, Sid?
No, I got sharp elbows. I just spin in a circle.
All right, Joe. I got my questions out. Go ahead. You
Okay.
have 2 more left, right?
Yes, I do. If anyone feels like sharing, and it doesn't have to be anything super serious, but What's a red flag you noticed in a relationship early on that you overlooked that looking back you wish you could tell past self? Like,
Ooh.
hey, that is an indication something might be off in a relationship.
Can I talk about myself?
Yeah, absolutely
From a
you can.
self-growth perspective.
Please. I'd love
In
that.
the beginning of my relationship, I valued the wrong things.
Mm,
And it almost caused me and Kylie to break up because of it.
yeah, okay.
So I valued my own needs over the relationship's needs.
Yeah.
And now looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, that was I would have walked away from that too.
Yeah,
Like,
okay,
I'm like,
fair.
dude, I'd have bounced.
Yeah. Do you feel like having that, like, was it pointed out or something
Oh
that
yeah,
you came to?
it was
yeah.
like a very obvious conversation. Like,
Yeah.
hey, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
And I was like,
It's just-
all right, touche.
you need to stop
Fair
doing
enough.
that. Like,
She's like, I need you to
being
stop being
I-
a dick. And I was like, all right, well, I can't really have a rebuttal. Like, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
I appreciate the honesty.
yeah.
I've talked about my own prior experiences here as well. Something I did with Megan, like early on into our marriage, actually was like, you know, I was making like really significant money, like early on in our relationship and in our marriage, and like I kind of like lorded that over her in like a really negative way, where I was like, all right, I'm bringing in the money, like, you know, you need to be doing the housework, and she was working like a full-time job during this too. And I look back at that and I was like, man, I really messed that up. But you know, we were able to grow past it, and obviously not that way now. And I try not to lord anything over her in that way, but you know, when I think about red flags, if I was looking at somebody else in a couple, that would have probably been one, or at least like worth a discussion or trying to change it. But I think it's good to be honest about like our own shortcomings in the past in particular, so we can talk about it and grow from it. Yeah. But
Yeah, so maybe also that question. What's a red flag in your past self that you would go back and work on?
So it's a double question now?
Yeah, it's a double question. Yeah.
Triple
Now we have to remember
question.
2 questions, which I'm not
Okay.
good at.
Well, I guess for the other person,
Yeah.
it was like hypocritical behavior. Like they were allowed to do something, but if I did it, it was done.
would you be
Interesting.
willing to talk about what that would be?
Sure, yeah. Like I did something that upset her. Like I made a joke and she didn't think it was very funny, so she yelled at me.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was like, okay, that's fine. We'll get past it. And then she did something that upset me, and I like unfortunately raised my voice at her, and then that was the end of the relationship.
Oh, God.
So like both, like I shouldn't raise my voice, but neither
Yeah.
should she. So like it was acceptable for her, but not for me. It's I don't know,
like
it's
a
weird.
double standard
Yeah.
on the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I guess for me, it would be like constantly betraying myself. Like
oh, yeah.
I don't want to do this, but they want to do this. So I'm gonna do this, and then I'm miserable the entire time. But they wanted to do it.
Right.
I don't know if that's I guess kind of a red flag.
Well, like,
maybe.
yeah, you're like setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
Like trying to do a good thing. Trying
This
to
is
do
all
the right thing.
individualized. So,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
it's fine.
highly. Yeah, I think that's a great one.
For me personally, I've had issues with like getting into relationships way too fast. Like I don't know who you are, and then
Yeah.
I go down the relationship, get to know you a little more, realize I don't really like who you are as a person.
Do you stay in it at that point, or do you leave?
I have had issues with staying in it because recovering people pleaser. So
Unite.
yes.
Yay.
But so that's something I'm really working on, like getting to know a person. Like I really would love a best friend, So like you can't do that when just rush into a relationship. And then let's see, the other person. I'm very family orientated. My family is like, they're the homies.
Yeah.
So
That's
if you don't want to be my family, or like you don't have to do it right away, okay? Because I think that is an issue that I've had. But if you're not interested in my family or anything like that, I think it's probably won't work out for me.
Fair.
Yeah.
Asking for you to be the main girl in a polyamorous relation. That's a red flag
Red
for
flag.
you, right?
Red flag.
The reddest of
Actually, that
flags.
beeping is. I think that definitely is one. If it is someone who, like I said earlier, who a lot of women rely on for emotional support at all times, whether it's like their mom or their sisters or any other women or girls in the friend group, like that is such a red flag to an extent. Like me and my ex, we had a long time where we just had to like make so many boundaries with his mother.
Oh, okay,
And like
okay.
it's absolutely, stuff happens, but it was just like, it was so heavy at the beginning of our relationship, and I just completely was like, oh, this is how it has to be. But like my mom wasn't like that with my brother. And so there's like certain things that you don't really realize are as crazy as like when it's getting better, you're like, oh my gosh, like it used to be like that, you know,
Yeah. Oh,
all
yeah,
the
fair.
time. Or yeah, like I said, just having a lot of other people relying on them to the point where you're not the center of this relationship. It's all these other people
Sure.
involved too. So I think that's a red flag for the other person. And then a red flag for me is definitely I don't know. My counselor tells me a lot that I'm not scared of people, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But I get caught up with a lot of like very mentally
Girl, you sound like me. Oh my God, I understand.
very like unusual,
The weird
like
ones,
tons of narcissists, borderline, multiple personality, like all the time. And it's not necessarily because I'm like, oh yeah, come here. It's just like I'm not afraid of these people. So I'm willing to like, even if I catch like the signals that they probably are, I like am willing to give them space in my life anyways,
Sure.
if they're willing to like, if it balances out at least a little bit. But normally if they do have those kinds of tendencies, it normally does not go well. But I'm one of those people who I'm like, I will try anyways, which negatively impacts me very often.
Do you think it's something you should stop doing if it's negatively impacting you?
No, because like I
Like,
said,
are there benefits to it as well? I would imagine.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
there's
like
always a,
even though these people have serious issues, it's like at the end of the day, to me, I'm like, it's so valuable just to get to know them. Because if I'm like, if I'm not going to, who else is going to, like, you know?
Sure, no, I got you. I got you. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, so it is technically like a red flag because it murders me very often. And
Yeah.
it really hits back very often. But it's
But
like,
you must be getting something, like enough out of it, like internally, right? Like to feel good about like basically being there for these
I would
people,
hope
right?
So
yes.
Because if you're not, I would
Yes.
say you probably need to like reimagine what that looks like.
At certain points,
Not
you
that this is
definitely
therapy
hit
hour.
a
Yeah,
point
like,
where
but-
you're like, what have I done? Like, you know, because you're so deep into it and you're just like, why am I
How did I
being
get here?
gaslit on purpose? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh,
like
yeah,
I
yeah.
know, and I'll have these hard conversations with them and they're yelling at me and I'm just like, yeah, like this is how it goes. Like it's normalized to the point where I'm like, I should probably stop.
Oh yeah, that makes
You
sense.
know?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you. Like, I appreciate everyone sharing their red flags and the other person's red flags. I feel like I haven't, so I should probably do that too. Like, thanks for sharing, guys. Next.
Anyway.
Justin, did you want to add anything too? That's all right.
All right.
Do you have any other questions for today, Joe?
I do have one. I have one other question. It's kind of a
Conclusion.
conclusion question.
Conclusion.
Yeah. So a question that I've been trying to ask everybody, like regardless of relationship status, what makes a successful relationship to you? Whether you've been in one, whether you want to be in one, like what do you define as a successful relationship?
Well, no, I haven't been in one. So
Yeah,
this
no,
is
and
just
that's-
me
yeah,
personally. What
it's-
I imagine a successful relationship
Absolutely.
as is like you being able to be yourself and do the things that you want to do. Your partner, no judgment ever. Judgment. That's the one for me. But and allowing your partner to grow and helping your partner to grow and just growing together and just, you know, being able to get through the things that you got to get through and like never giving up because you get to choose really who you want to be with. And if you choose that person every day, it's pretty, you know, sometimes I guess you won't love them all the time. I don't know, but like,
So like the
choosing
choice
them,
part of
yeah,
it?
yes.
I love that. Yeah,
Yes.
I like that a lot.
Good answer. Anybody else want to jump in on this one?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. What do you like? You can take this question any way that your brain goes with it, but what does a successful romantic relationship mean to you?
I guess it's kind of similar, but
Yeah.
like you feel like you can be who you really are. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to like put on a mask when you're around this person. Like you can share everything with them. And then there's also like good communication and respecting each other. Like all that kind of bundled into one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I like that. The whole not having to pretend around the person that you're like that invested in, I feel like is vital. And if you have to, like,
it's probably exhausting.
Exhausting. Yeah, that's exactly what I think of. Yeah.
I think to piggyback off that too, being friends.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, because like sometimes I lean on Kylie as a friend, not a spouse, but other times I need her as a spouse.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like sometimes I need her to not be like, hey, it's okay, everything's gonna be. Sometimes I need her to be like, hey, you fucked up.
Right.
And you need to turn around and go make this right. And I'm like, okay, you're right. I did.
Yeah.
And then so you need that accountability, but it doesn't come from a spouse. It comes from a friend perspective.
Yeah.
So I'd say being friends too.
Yeah. I think that's a big part of
Sometimes
success.
you need a swift kick in the butt kind of deal. Megan's very good at that too. She'll let me know when I've messed up, and even though I don't like to hear it sometimes, it's always beneficial. So even just to have the conversation about it. But Pandy, what do you think? Successful relationship.
I feel like it has a lot to do with like self-sacrifice, like letting go, like mutually having the mutual understanding of like, I am going to give to you because I love you, and them having the mutual understanding of I'm going to give to you because I love you. It's not for anything else, or not because of like expectations, like not keeping score of like I did this much for you and you did this much.
Sure.
But it's just like a sacrificial form of like I'm willing to give you everything, you're willing to give me everything, and we're willing to like share this equally, even if some days it doesn't feel, it's like it doesn't matter because we're both fighting for the same thing, which is to be together and be whole.
Yeah.
You know? So I think for me that plays a lot into it.
Like not 50-50, but like you're bringing 100% of what you have.
Yeah,
on any
both
given
of
day, and
you
it's gonna ebb and flow.
wholly
kind of thing.
giving yourself 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
the 50-50, because you can't. And then it's like, what's the other 50? Where's it going?
Yeah.
Like,
Fair.
So yeah, absolutely.
I noticed that a lot of you guys said being your authentic self, being like who you are at your core with your partner is important. How often, like how early do you show your authentic first like version of yourself to like a prospective date? Like on the first date, are you being your authentic self?
I think you're a shell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you put on your best face forward, and then you kind of like, oh, that was okay, so I wonder about this. That was okay, I wonder about this. And you like baby them into it. Does that make sense?
No, I gotcha.
Like the progression.
Yeah.
Of like bits of vulnerability.
Like you're not just like, here's me.
Yeah.
I think it does depend on who you're talking to also, because maybe
Hugely.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's easier to open up with them, and like you're like, wow, why am I so weird right now? I don't
Why did I say that?
Like I definitely get that.
Yeah.
But like I guess the argument would be like, shouldn't you show like who you are right away so we're not wasting people's time?
I don't think you always can though,
It can be
Fair.
hard.
Fair
yes.
enough.
because there's different versions of yourself. Like who you are at home is not who you are at jiu-jitsu. It's not who you are at the store. It's not who you are at work, right? Like I don't know, like ironically enough, and I know at jiu-jitsu it seems like I enjoy talking to you guys, and it's not that I don't.
Oh man.
I know
Hold on.
it seems
That came out wrong. No.
Well,
Well, all right.
well, I gotta run.
See you
I'm
later.
gonna have to write an apology list. Canceled. That's it. Done.
Mission accomplished.
No, it's just like
Yeah,
at jiu-jitsu, I have a
absolutely.
good time, but I'm comfortable around you guys, right?
Yeah.
But if you guys like, if it was just us four, I wouldn't have said a word for the first hour. Like,
Same
I
gang.
I
Yeah,
sit on
same.
the wall and I wait until we find a commonality, and then I'll talk your ear off about
That's
that
fair.
commonality.
Yeah.
But like Pandy's very outgoing, so she's gonna come out and just bam, hit you with all kinds of stuff. And that's why
Kill
I'm like,
one,
you know,
too, yeah.
it's one of those things where who I am once I'm comfortable around you is different than who I am when I first meet you.
For sure.
So I think there's that, and then also like living with somebody, right? Like we have a friend moving in with his girlfriend right now. She's about to find out what kind of person he is at home, which is completely different than who he is at jiu-jitsu, who he is at work, who he is like, that's a different person. Because now you're seeing them 24/7. I don't know if you can always open up initially on the first date.
I think that's a
I
really
like that
fair point.
answer,
I actually
actually.
love that. So
Yeah.
I think it's like, you know, expecting to be our authentic, like happy if it happens to be you guys, like having to be like authenticity. I think is hard to like do with someone if you're not comfortable with them. I think it's a really fair point.
It's not safe, I think, a lot of the times. If,
Yeah.
No,
I mean, like,
being
levels-
vulnerable sucks.
Yeah.
It's
Because how many times have you been
it's
vulnerable
the
and you get
fucking
fucked?
worst. Like, I try so hard, but it's the fucking worst. Yeah. Like,
Real quick, I
worth
lied.
it. It's
I
worth
do.
it.
I do have one more question because you mentioned something I want to ask the panel real quick, and then we'll call it a night. I think. Should you live with someone before you marry them?
Yes.
I was
Yes,
just
yes.
talking to my mom about this, and she was like, "No."
Oh, I know. I
And I
know.
was
I
like,
feel like our
no,
moms
it's
would
not.
probably.
I literally, we were fighting as I was getting into the car. Not fighting, but
Yeah.
I was in the car. I was like, and one more thing, and I was like, because that's what I was telling. I'm like, I don't think I can do the whole like. I'm just gonna be a little, just until I
Yeah.
get married. I'm like, I want to move in with this person for at least a couple months or a year
Yeah,
before
sure.
I even consider marrying
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Especially after everything I've already gone through. It's like
Of course.
absolute, but to people who have not and are very like structurally like that's how they are, you like date and then you get married and then you move in.
Mhm.
It's so hard to like get through that,
Yeah.
I guess.
Because
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
see
no,
a very
I hear
different
what you're saying.
version of a person. I think I like what you said about the versions thing. I think that's so accurate because like the version of myself that I am at work, which happens to be online, is authentic to that version. But if you know me as a person, you might know something additional to that, right?
Mhm.
And like the person I am at jujitsu is different than the person I am in a dating context. They're not lies. Like none of it's inauthentic or inaccurate.
It's
but
just
it's like
portions of yourself.
yeah, it's just portions of yourself that I think it makes sense to like have some safety, like emotional safety with that vulnerability of inviting someone into your life. Cause I've always been a big advocate for like, yeah, like come out and be exactly who you are. Like I try to do that. But as you're saying that, I'm like, no, but that's very important too. Like there are steps to it.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, I think that we can say that we want to be authentic, and I say
Yeah.
it all the time, but I think it's very difficult because throughout our whole lives we've kind of been conditioned
Yeah.
to not.
Oh,
Like
God,
that's fucking
yeah.
weird. Don't do that.
Yeah. Be a normal.
Yeah.
I think it's like for me, it's definitely something I've grown into being a streamer for so long.
yeah.
It's definitely like when I first started, it was a lot more like, oh, I have to like. But after a while, it's like once I became more comfortable with who I was and more just like okay with being, because I tend to think that I am a lot at a lot of points in time. But like when I ask people or like when I even bring up the insecurity, they're like, you're fine. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh. But in general, like I try to exude the same amount of energy because I'm like chaotic chill. So I'm not gonna like
It's like
yell.
It's like a D&D
the
thing.
D&D thing. Like chaotic neutral.
Exactly.
Chaotic
chill.
neutral
I
or
love it.
whatever.
Exactly. So like when people meet me, I'm like, I am the life of the party, but I'm not the loudest one in the room.
Yes.
Like
that
I'll
makes
be the
sense.
one who finds someone in the corner and just like has a normal conversation about something really deep and then joins
Yeah.
everyone again to but I'm not like yeah. So in general, I feel like I've really tried to learn how to like meld like just being the same consistent person throughout every facet of my life.
Yeah.
Because I've been with so many people where it was like night and day based off of where they were. And it's terrifying sometimes.
When it's like a different version. Not just
Yeah.
like, you know, shift, but like someone who's different.
yeah.
By the way, I meant to ask, what is your favorite thing to stream? Like when you're streaming, what do you like to stream?
Video games.
What's your favorite kind of video games? I'm just curious.
I grew up with Nintendo, so I love Nintendo, but I play Valorant and League of Legends.
Nice.
Okay, cool. That's
I play
awesome.
TFT. I've never actually played League of Legends. My brother got me into TFT.
TFT is great.
Yeah.
It's so gentle.
I know what that means. I know it's the less hardcore version. I know it's weak.
No, I used to play
Gentle.
that too. But
Gentle.
League of
Oh,
Legends
man.
is super
Gentle.
toxic though. So
Oh, is it? I don't
Wait,
know
what
much about
is?
it.
League of Legends is super
Oh, yeah.
toxic.
Oh yeah.
In terms of gaming communities.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's like
Fair.
way up there.
Fair.
Well, this was awesome.
Yeah.
You guys were a fantastic panel. Thank you so much.
Yeah, seriously,
Thanks
this is
for
one of
having
my
me.
favorite conversations. Thank you all for being here and
Do you
sharing
say
your
that every
individual
time?
stories. Yeah, I do absolutely.
Yeah, but we
I lie to
actually
everyone.
genuinely mean it though.
I know,
Time
but
for real,
seriously, that's the
though.
thing.
In the moment.
Yeah, every time I'm like, God, this was awesome. Thank you.
I mean, you took time out of your day to come be here. Like, we're super thankful to have you here. So,
Thankful to
This
Thanks for
was
having us.
amazing.
thank you so much.
You guys were really cool. So thank you.
Well, Joe, how would you like to? I'll make sure to talk about the Turbo Dude.
Yes. So,
YouTube channel.
yeah, in the description, if you're watching the YouTube version, we also have a Spotify version because I figured
That's
out how to do
right.
the big tech thing and get my podcast onto
Tech
Spotify.
brain.
Yeah, and Apple Podcasts. I know, I'm so impressed with myself. But if you are on YouTube, check the video description if you want to go follow the actual Turbo Dude podcast channel. Clips and shorts are going over there right now, and we will, I believe, very potentially be moving the entire podcast.
That's the plan eventually.
Yeah, including streaming over to that completely. So if you want this kind of content, check out the link in the description for that. And also thank you for taking a few moments out of your day, whether you're listening or watching, to hang out and listen to us chat. It means a lot, especially if you made it through 2.5, 3 hours. That's
How-
amazing. We
Wait,
really
how
appreciate
long
you.
were we live?
I think like
20,
2.5,
25 minutes shy of
Yeah.
3 hours.
3. Yeah.
Did it feel that long? No, don't answer
No.
that. That's fine.
Oh, sorry.
God, yeah, no.
And thank you to Megan off
Yes,
screen who
seriously,
filled
thank
in.
you, Megan. You're the best. Darian, yeah, Darian will be back next week. And also next week, it's just going to be Aaron and I. Actually, we're going to do a solo episode, kind of diving into some stuff we've been talking about, which I'm also looking forward to. I love having guests, but I think it'll be good.
See
too.
what happened to our count like skyrocketed here at the end. What's going on with that?
I don't know. That's consistent.
You guys all came like what time is it? Like it's like 9:30?
It's like 9:30, maybe 9:30.
You guys are
is
all
the time.
crazy out there.
9:30 is the time that if I'm like not doing anything, I start like scrolling and watching YouTube videos.
Doom watching.
We should keep
Doom
the
scrolling.
live stream
What's that?
going.
Scrolling.
Yeah, doom
After
scrolling.
after
actually.
party starts now, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No.
That's a good idea. Except
Late
I'm too
hours.
tired and you're sick. so-
Oh yeah, I'm like I was like trying my best not to sniffle like the entire podcast.
Yeah.
Doing great.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
it was
know.
awesome.
You like rallied, you're
Oh,
a rock
man,
star.
it's
You
like-
deserve all the rest now. Yeah.
I was trying my best. Well, thank you again, everybody. We'd love to have you guys back at some point if you want to be back on. It'd be awesome.
And everyone's social links who wanted them there is in the description down below. And we will see you next Wednesday, same time, same place, right?
Yes. Do you want to help Megan get out of this?
Yes,
in a
I
way?
will.
Well, hold on.
But
She got big brain.
Yeah. Just the mute on the screen. You're a rock star.
I wasn't doubting you. I've never done it, so I don't know like how many buttons you have to click over there.
Not that hard.
I'm just saying.
I have an engineering degree.
Just let us know when we are.